This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd here, and they have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Just ready for a show here. There's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. NBA playoffs, everything. What's good with you, man?
Not too much. Just had to delay the stream because James Harden was in the middle of a 40-point playoff game, and it was like whenever we get a chance to see one of those, right?
Rare.
Yeah. So I was like, no Embiid either. So that was like, that was crazy. So I don't know if Embiid is set for game 2 or whatever else, but went into Boston, and bro, after Harden made the game winner, effectively the game winner with 8 seconds left, you see shots of the crowd, and it's like all I could think of is these are look at the Bill Simmonses, look at all of them, bro, Bill Simmons for to be
apoplectic,
bro, inconsolable about they blew it. They can't win the title. They're fucked. It's bro, it's one game. Relax. But you know how he likes to fucking panic. He's been panicking about this team for months now, and it's they're the 2 seed. Shut the fuck up. Anybody can win in this playoff right now.
Anyone can be beat.
Yeah, he's freaking out about them being the 2 seed. All right, do you want to be the 1 seed in the East? How'd that go for them?
Man. Well, I guess we should just start. Speaking of seeds and everything like that, the 6 seed Warriors defeated the Sacramento Kings yesterday.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing in the NBA that I take a lot of pleasure in, is seeing the Sacramento Kings lose on their home floor in a Game 7. Something about it just feels so familiar. Seems so nostalgic about this. I saw Peja Stojakovic sitting on the sidelines, James. Shouldn't he have been barred from the arena as a token of bad luck? Should they have just subbed him in the game so he could shoot some air balls for old time's sake? Could we get Chris Webber in there so he could spin in a 360 direction as a way to show he is not a threat?
So, look, this is what I'll ask you. You have to remind me. Did they allow Bill Buckner into Fenway until 2004 or no?
I'm not sure. Okay, I imagine it would not have gone well for Mr. Buckner.
Okay, so I guess my whole thing is if you're an up north, uptight, super superstitious sports fan, then you'll go by their crazy superstitious rules. So if Buckner never came back to Fenway after 86, then I guess Peja and Weber and Hedo and the rest of them, Scott Pollard, the rest of them aren't allowed to Bobby Jackson, Bibby aren't allowed to be in that building. But I don't know how that goes. But I do know that after they won, Bill Buckner did come back and they did give him a great standing ovation.
At least not for no Game 7. We know the Kings, the booty holes get tight. We know the lemon starts taking over. I saw this, and nostalgia jokes aside, Wardell Curry was not losing to no fucking Kings. I'm sorry, it was never happening.
the funny thing about it while watching the game is like, both teams have their 24 players, and literally only 2 of them didn't shit their pants between both teams. It was Steph Curry and it was Kevin Looney. It was like, bro, how does Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, all champions, all did it just last year. All of them,
done it all.
Look, Jay-Z, Biggie Smalls, nigga, shit your draws. All 3 of them. I'm like, bro, what is happening? And then the other end, aside from maybe like Keegan Murray and that's about it. Keegan Murray and I want to say the third guard they have, like that's the only people that like showed up and weren't scared out of their minds. I can't remember Davis' first name. That's it.
Yeah, man.
A whole bunch of shook niggas on the floor for a game 7. It's funny because like a lot of game 7s. They start with like huge force and defensive intensity, and everybody's jittery, and then like in the second half it calms down. The game started and like teams were just playing like as if it was a game 6 if they'd been playing, and then the second half came around and like Sabonis had 16 and 6. At halftime, and then he left the game with 16 and 7, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Man, it was a corpse out there, a shadow, a literal white shadow, like the TV show out there.
Just man, like Fox had issues with the hand. He didn't play well. Monk, he didn't play well, and ultimately, like the second half came around, and there was an adjustment made. The adjustment was, hey, Let's just guard Sabonis the way that everybody that's really good guards Draymond Green. We're like, he's got the ball at the nail or above the foul line, and he's about to facilitate or whatever else. Hey man, just switch every single action on either side, and then worry about the consequences of him having the ball as the shot clock runs down. And from there,
bro, he looked like he wanted no parts of it. That man looked Weberin out there.
Sucking misses wide open from 17 to 15 feet as a person that's in drop coverage more or less is just at basically at 12 feet saying, all right, if you're going to shoot it, I'm not even going to try to like contest it from 17 feet. I'm just going to get a hand up. And bro, he should have just spun around like Chris Webber and let him know he had no interest. The sad thing is he couldn't even do that because they were switching all the actions. They couldn't even get someone free to get the ball off while he's out there waiting to pass the ball to one of them. Just bad. And the worst part is, that was the worst part of his game. He couldn't grab a fucking rebound in the second half. I'm sorry, he grabbed one. He did get the one.
He was dealing with a bear, apparently. Like, Von Looney decided, I'm Moses Malone now. Yeah.
Moses Malone, Charles Barkley, all that. Dennis Rodman, look, Ben Wallace, he was all of them rolled up into one. This man said, look, so apparently, Steph, who rarely gives like the pregame speech or whatever else, gave one. The only person that bothered to listen was fucking Kevin Looney. He's the only one who believed in the words of Steph Curry. Everybody else just doo-doo in they fucking compression shorts.
Piss down their leg, you know.
It was wild. Bro, and we've seen Klay at times in playoff series have a stinker here and there, right?
He did hit that shot at the end of the third quarter that was like, it's fucking over though.
Oh, you mean was that the one after like 3 offensive rebounds?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So look, as many offensive bro, there were so many trips in a row where like they got like 2, 3, and 4 shots on one trip on the floor. I was like, bro, I think the Klay shot was when I was like, yeah, they're done. The back is broken. Yeah. Them shits are soul sucking. Like those were worse than like when Sabonis was just missing those foul shots or basically open jumpers from 15 feet. Like that was killer. And yeah, man, like. We talked enough about all these other chokers and jokers. Whatever else. Steph Curry,
Wardell Curry.
That's look. I
50.
I think that's the best playoff game I've ever seen him have. I know people are going to say could point to Game 4 last year. I think given the stakes of it being a Game 7, I think the part where like nobody else showed up offensively except for him on either side, and someone had to make the plays, and he was making all of them. The ease at which he kept getting to the rim,
he did what he wanted. I felt like it was so easy for him to score. I felt like the degree of difficulty of the finals last year for me was still put that over the top. But this shit,
I can see that. I can see that. I guess
this shit was a religious experience. Like, this shit was like, y'all can't stop him. There's no chance to stop him. He's not missing, and like, he's almost better than he's ever been.
For me, it was just the ease of which it was for him to get to the hoop at any time. Like, obviously, you know, the Kings don't have shot blocking unless like Alex Lynn's out there and they didn't play him much. But just like, it didn't matter if it was Fox in front of him. It didn't matter if it was Davis in front of him. It didn't matter. Well, Monk didn't really get much time on him, or even Davion Mitchell. It didn't matter. And Davion Mitchell, look, Mike Brown on the you know, the voice clip ups or whatever else. He sounds like a really good communicator, and you understand why people like him so much. But the part where, like,
I thought you was a defensive coach, Mike Brown.
Look, that's a part of the adjustments over time, right? Like, he pushes the pace and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's really good at communicating and really good at, obviously, program building just now. But like, the part where, like, his best defender is Davion Mitchell on Steph Curry and he only plays 8 minutes, it's like, okay, like, he didn't score 50 in the other games, but whatever, man. Like, they felt like they needed Davis shooting, and he did, you know, knock down some shots. So whatever. But yeah, man, Steph was just amazing. And like, I think this is the best playoff game I've ever seen him have. Like, I didn't watch any of the finals last year because I was like, that's going to be a muck fest. And I also thought the Celtics were going to win. And I was like, I don't want to see that shit. But, I was like, I ain't trying to watch that shit. Especially when they got a 2-1. I was like, man, fuck this. I'm definitely not watching this shit. But, yeah, so
bro, it was all that Rudy Tomjanovich, heart of a champion, all that shit with these dudes. Like,
yeah. So with Steph, it was just like, he looked like he was in a different league than these guys. He just did. Right? Like he just looked like one of those situations where, like, you know, it's some fucking Curry, college dude playing a high school game. It was that kind of thing of like, he's just a whole nother level, and it looked easy for him. Like, it wasn't like, you know, we've seen some of these wild Steph Curry games where he makes 10 threes or whatever else. This wasn't that. This was him getting by people and getting to the hoop with fucking easy little layups all the time. And like, that was what was impressed me, because like, I don't think Steph Curry necessarily, like, in prior years would have, even with the ease of like lack of shot blocking and whatever else on that team, would have been like, yeah, I'm just definitely gonna go into the rim over and over and over, and like
twos.
Yeah, and shoot twos, all that kind of stuff. You know, even with the fact that he's the greatest shooter that we'll ever see, is like, there's also some times where he gets kind of cute with it, whatever else. It's obviously he has the greenest light of all, or he should have the greenest light of all time. But like, yeah, man, like, was it 38 shots? Steph don't really want to do that. Like,
Glad he did.
You know, he won't take like 25 shots at best. But it was all on him to go do it. He went out there and was 20 for 38. He was amazing. And
absolutely incredible.
Yep,
50 points. One of the greatest playoff performances of all time.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't know.
He holds off like them talking about ripping up the blueprint. They lose that game, you got to look back and be like, look, bro, are we really going to go out here and, you know, like, very similar situation to LeBron in 2012, where it's like, hey, man, like, we like these dudes. We pay them all the money they're worth, but we really want to run this back, and they can't win no more. Like, if they lose in Boston in Game 6 2012 and do that 45 game, you probably are trading Chris Bosh. Like, if they lose this game, you're in the first round, they're probably like, hey, man, you know, best of luck to you, Draymond, and all that kind of stuff. Wish you on, or whatever else. Please don't, like, I think he has a player option. Please don't take that option. Like, Clay, you know,
best wishes.
Do we need to give you the mask? Can we give you 30? Like, it would have been a lot of that. So yeah, man, like, he kept the dynasty intact for at least another series.
Like, in the middle of the season, I remember you asking me like who I think was gonna like get to the finals from the West, and I'm just hesitant to like
pick against them. Yeah,
to pick against these niggas like until somebody like eliminates them at full strength, like. Bro, like, these boys ain't been beaten in the West at full strength since like 2014. I understand Kevin Durant was there before. They won after him and before him.
Point still stands.
What's up?
I said point still stands.
Yeah, like this is not no team to come out here and think some young guys are gonna run them off the floor. Like the team that eventually beats them is like yeah, they're superstars in their prime. Like they were not losing to no like system team that had a great regular season that's just wildly overachieved. They're not gonna overachieve that far. And it comes down to Steph Curry just decided, hey boys, get on my back.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing.
Get on my back, boys.
Like you said, like the championship. I don't think you said exactly championship DNA, but I'm like, I was like, man, I guess like this is Steph Curry saying, here, I'm giving you half a. I'm big. Look, you guys can score your 70. I'll give half 100. We can say that we all got an A on the assignment. Like that. Like you know me, I've always been like, for all the talk of Draymond or Iguodala or Livingston or Clay or whatever else, and Clay, you know, if he had went somewhere else, would have been a second NBA level player or whatever else. The main thing is there's this fucking guy that like is unprecedented in this league, and he's breaking the league from 25 feet every fucking night. Like that's the guy. Like understand, like you know, people like do the Scottie Pippen stuff about 55 games without Jordan or whatever else. That's cool. Michael fucking Jordan. Michael Jordan. And I'm just like, yeah, Clay, the rest of them, being able to play 5 out, depth line up and 5 ball handlers on open floor, just causing all this corruption, all this confusion for defenses and not knowing how to play any of that shit. Cool. Stephen Wardell Curry. It starts first and foremost with him. Like even when Durant was there, it was still like, yes, when the offense sometimes gets jammed up, you sometimes need someone to be like, hey man, just go get a bucket, and Durant is better than Curry at going in the bucket or whatever else, but it's still like, hey man, we saw what happened when they decided on a whim, like, hey, how about like in the finals, we never did this, but let's just do a Steph Curry and Kevin Durant pick and roll for a bunch of stretches of the game and see how that goes. And like one of the best teams that didn't win a finals that year got wiped off the floor. So it's like, yeah man, like it's Steph. He's amazing. And this is another example. And he's 34, 35 now?
35.
And he's, and he's still, 6'3", and maybe a $190. Like we don't, and with bad ankles, we don't know how much is going to last, but you got to cherish his shit. So yeah, man, like we don't know how many more of these we get, but like the fact that we got maybe his best playoff game at this age is special.
I know whose playoff game we didn't see the best of. Dylan Brooks, bring your bitch ass to the stage. Bring your ass to the stage. Get in this pack. You, Ja Morant, with your fake gun or real gun, you're fine in the West. You were not fine in the West, sir. I'm sorry. No. Dylan Brooks. I can't believe Dylan Brooks came out here was asking for the 40. Well, much like the Dipset, we gave him the 40. The 40-point beatdown at the end. The pack in the air.
Oh, man.
I wanted nothing else than the Lakers to defeat the Memphis Grizzlies this year, and it happened. This is the best thing LeBron James has given me as a Laker fan.
He gave me all the championship.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I did not want to watch them young punks start dancing and doing all that bullshit on our floor. No. I did not want to watch Dylan Brooks coming out here, doing all that shit. No, didn't want to see it. I did not want to see Ja Morant doing the gun taunts. It is no parade in your city, sir. I'm sorry. None. Yeah, we whooped their ass. That's flat out. We took the belt off. We made it. We walked them to the backyard. We told them get a switch. Make sure there are no leaves on it. Make sure it is not one of them little ones that's just going to break. Go ahead and find you a nice switch. Bring one in here that because if you bring in a switch that isn't right, we're going to go get one and we're going to whoop you the right way with it. We whooped these boys from my dog AR to Rui to AD blocking all these shots to LeBron going left.
That was another great Dylan Brooks part.
You know, we just gonna plan to the left. All right. What scouting report are you what year scouting report are you reading?
Like
Dylan Brooks?
2008.
Fucking Memphis Grizzlies. Go home. Tear it down.
Yeah, man. So we never talked about this on air, but like earlier in the year, I don't remember if this was like after the Shannon Sharp thing or not. I can't remember, but but I remember you saying like you just messaged me off the just randomly. You're like, "Hey, bro, I don't fuck with Dylan Brooks," and I was like, and I remember saying to you like, "What a coincidence! I don't either." Because last year in the playoffs in that series against the Timberwolves, I thought that he was like destructive to their team. I was like, bro, you cannot. This is the when you see people in the playoffs and you finally see them. You know, because a lot of times there's so many teams, so many games, you can get an idea of what's going on. But, and also like the regular season isn't like the playoffs, and we're learning more about that now, more and more with like, you know, these trades and like, and also with like load management, whatever else. Like to see him in that first round series against D'Angelo, and keep in mind, D'Angelo Russell was on the other end, right? Like shooting terrible shots early in the shot clock, fucking up. And I'm just like, bro, why is this dude getting free reign to throw up these bad 3-pointers with like 18 seconds left in the clock? Or not 18, like 15 seconds left in the clock. Like, and like driving into the lane and not having an idea or plan on what to fucking do once he gets there. This is all just ill-advised. It's bad. Like they're going to get smoked by Golden State in the next round. And sure enough, they did. But you know, they talked all that shit, and like for a lot of people, they like the young, what do you call it, young confidence and all that kind of stuff. For me, it's like, sure, but I don't think you're actually good enough to actually get to this next level. So it's going to be a painful crash for y'all when this happens. So flash forward to Rich saying he don't like this dude. I was like, bro, I haven't liked this dude since last year. And then and then also like what he did to Gary Payton II when he broke his elbow. And I'm like, yo, bro, I don't like this dude. And then like all year long in the second half of the year, or basically after New Year's, it was just one thing after the other with like Dylan Brooks getting into it with Shannon Sharp on the sidelines for no fucking reason. Like, you know, the Draymond stuff. Then we found out, oh yeah, like you actually like when you're at Oregon, you said that you wanted to be the Draymond Green of your team. Like, oh, you fucking flip up, bitch. Anyway, then the other stuff he said along the way about like talking about other players, and it's just like, and then he gets to the LeBron thing and it's like, I don't respect nobody until they give me 40. Who do you think you are? Like,
what have you done?
Don't get me wrong. Like, he's somebody that, you know, I think will eventually make an all defensive team, like a second team all defensive team. Like, he is a great defender, a great individual 101 defender. Like, as far as a team defender, then not so much. But like the idea that you as a guy that like is just a offensive liability to your team when you're out there is going to say this is like, bro, we didn't hear Tony Allen saying this kind of shit. What are you talking about? and Tony Allen was out here giving some of the best wings up that we've ever saw, all kinds of hell, and also give you the threat that he'll beat their ass if it came down to it as well. And even him wasn't talking that shit. Like, we were thinking like, look, man, Tony Allen might as well play in some Timberlands.
Right.
So I just didn't respect it. And then when it came down to it, they talk about, time reveals true character, all that kind of stuff. Me personally, I do not think that he actually intended to hit LeBron in the groin. But the rules have changed over the years when it comes down to like intent or whatever else, when it comes to somebody hitting someone in the nuts or in the head or whatever else. And that's fair, whatever. He gets ejected. And he played shitty in the game before that happened. And then when it was time for him to, come to the microphone, after he's talked all this cash in these microphones all year long, coming to the games dressed like a fucking buffoon for attention, because he wants people to look at him. Look, he's almost like some NFL DB shit. Like, I'm the new guy. I want to talk shit to get a name, and I want to be in commercials and all that kind of shit. It seemed like one of those kind of things. And it was time for him to be in front of cameras, like he's won it all since 2023. He ducked out. He said, I'm out, and then didn't want to do an interview. And then, when they won that game in Memphis, game 5, didn't want to talk. And then when the series over, after he shot him out the series because Luke Kennard should have been playing over him, but Luke Kennard got hurt, He didn't want to talk again. He
cut his fucking mic off.
He got out of the locker room for the media can get in there, which means by, according to some people on Twitter, he got dressed to his streets without washing his ass. So yeah, man. There's plenty of stuff to go around for even Desmond Baines and especially for John Moran. My main thing is on Dylan Brooks needs to be going off that team. He was not he's helping or he's hurting more than he is helping in the net sense, on the floor and off the floor and on the perception of the team. And now that the stars out here fighting kids and pointing guns at them, they don't need any more. They don't need any more help being unlikable. So yeah, get him off the team. Wherever he ends up going, he'll end up somewhere that doesn't matter, and we'll never have to hear about from him again until he injures somebody else. So whatever.
I got a couple ideas for spots for him. Shanghai, Guangdong, Taiwan. Maybe Dwight Howard needs some help winning the title over there. Oh, we could send him to Olympiacos, Real Madrid,
I don't think they want him over in the Euro leagues.
Shit. What else? Who else they got over there?
I don't know, man.
What was Luka Doncic's old team called? I'm not sure, but
I can't remember.
But Barca, shit.
Just look. He's coming to the league, so we ain't got to worry about it. I'll be like, look, man, just keep him away from Wembanyama. just keep him away from the Metro 92s. Just keep him away. We ain't got to worry about he's coming to the league, so hopefully they never interact ever.
Lakers Warriors round 2.
Round 2?
Yeah, coming up.
What was round 1?
Or Lakers versus Warriors the next round.
Oh, I thought you meant round 2 like it's a rematch. That's what I meant.
Oh no,
okay.
Lakers haven't played the Warriors since someone said 1991. So there's no real history there or anything.
I mean, outside of seeing the 80s games of Magic Johnson giving Roby Free that was giving him work? I can't remember.
Sleepy Floyd once again, I believe.
What the fuck? It's a Sleepy Floyd show?
Bro,
I guess so.
Sleepy Floyd twice on one show. Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. He was the one that was giving Magic buckets in the late 80s when Magic was, couldn't be in front, or stay in front of any point guards at that point in time. Yeah. But yeah, man, should be super fun. I know the league is thrilled about it. I almost asked Zach Porter to similar fashion to the slap fight thing with Inoki. I almost asked him to put a picture of David Stern smiling in a picture of Warriors versus Lakers.
Wow.
I almost did that. I decided not to. That's in poor taste. We'll leave that alone. And also, I think both of these teams is flat out just one on own merit. There wasn't no conspiratorial thing. This is flat out the two better teams in their series won, and now they'll face each other. So yeah. But I did have thoughts of that.
The olds still going.
It's the old school.
Our generation is still going.
So hold on. So because
stand back, you stand back, young niggas.
Bro, I gotta tell you, have you seen the State Farm commercial this year with Chris Paul, where they talking about old school shorts, wearing old I want to get car insurance on my old school car, but what about bringing back the old school shorts? And in my mind, I'm thinking they're about to show the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson shit that's basically compression shorts. Bro, it's Chris Paul coming out. He's wearing super baggy pants, and I felt so old. I was like, yeah, we did do that. It was exaggerated how big them shits were. Them shits capri pants. So I was like, yeah, we were crazy out here with the baggy shit. And I was like, hey man, I was like, fuck y'all, this ain't old school. That was just a few years ago. Fuck y'all.
That's what we was doing.
Yeah, so
you had to be there.
So yeah, you think about it in the West at least, right? You got Chris Paul and Durant, for the West Coast or for the old school. You got LeBron for the old school. You got Steph Curry and Clay for the old school. So we got a 75% chance to get to the finals, Rich. Us, middle-aged niggas.
Still running this league?
Yes.
You can have a regular season.
Yes. Look, thank God for science. Thank God for science, medical advancements to keep this going. Look, what if KD, Steph, and LeBron keep doing this for another half decade? Oh man. But yeah, yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. People gonna get carried away and take it overboard with whatever happens one way or the other. But it was like, hey, man, this shit don't matter one way or the other. Look, the Warriors can win the finals. The Lakers can win the finals. I don't think it means anything for either one of them as far as like a comparison between those two, which people want to do. But if that's what you want to do, I see the Griff is in full swing as far as that one.
You know, I feel like you might just have to ask a question. You know,
what? Oh, like, is LeBron better than Steph Curry at age 38? No, he's not. That's fucking dumb. Like, why would we ask that question? Oh, well, he did. Well, what they did. Well, the Lakers did win that series. So what? Like, if the Lakers win this series because AD will have averaged like 35 and 15 or some crazy shit. So yeah, man. Like, I honestly, like, from people that the opinions I trust, like, it's a coin flip for a lot of people. I guess I really feel like a lot of people are scared off of what happened in Game 7 with everybody else in the Warriors except for Looney and Steph. But yeah, man. I just think that like their offense is just too more advanced than what the Lakers can do, even if there is no, shot blocker out there, and AD and LeBron should do well when they play small or whatever else. I don't trust D'Angelo Russell. Like, he was good the other night. He was good the other night, but it's just like, nah, man, like, the margins, if the margins are thin, I'm going to trust on knuckleheads to be knuckleheads and ruin it for people, right? Like, so yeah, like, is there a chance that, like, D'Angelo, runs the clock on LeBron like JR did?
I mean, D'Angelo was is one of the last teammates of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. Sabotage. Fuck him being better.
Lay it down. Lay it down.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
man. But yeah, like, look.
The sickle was like myself. I'd be like, I see the play here.
So, all right. So we've talked about that series. I'm watching right now. I'm watching Suns versus Nuggets. I didn't watch Game 1, but they beat the hell out of them. So right now this game's close between them two.
Paul got to guard the inseam. That's what you got to do.
My main thing is, like, how long before they just basically say, look, man, every single play, whether it's Chris, whether it's Booker, whether it's Durant, we are putting Nikola Jokic into the pick and roll every single possession. and we finna make that man look like the worst defender in the league. But yeah, like, right now the Phoenix has a 1 point lead right now, but and they're like start second quarter. But yeah, that's interesting to see. One series that I don't know if I'm going to have the stomach and patience to sit through. Heat Knicks. I don't care. I don't think I can do it, bro. I don't think I can sit through it.
Don't care,
bro. I watched like a quarter of Cavs Knicks, and I was like, hey man, I can't go back to them old days. Like, I can't go back to the days when they was playing when it actually was like long shorts out there. So I can't go back to this. I can't go back to the muck. I can't do it.
Yeah, man. Like, the Jimmy Butler's cool, like Jimmy Butler and everything like that. No shit. I just, I feel like the playoffs done got fucked up because the Bucks done fucked around and lost, and now it's just like it's a mad dash. Embiid's hurt now. It's like I thought that great Eastern Conference we were setting up to get was going to happen, and it has broken into some other shit at this point.
I mean, I think most of that comes down to, like, we just thought, like, the two best teams in the East are Boston and Milwaukee. Then Milwaukee lost, and, like, obviously, like, a really strong number 3 is the Sixers, but it's like, are we really going to trust James Harden past round 3? You know what I'm saying? And,
that usually is not the way.
Right.
Like Pete Dunne would say. Right.
So, for me, like, that was impressive to see Harden, win this game tonight, but I'm still like, how it is with him. Like, he gets worse as series progress. So we'll see. But like, I'm definitely gonna watch that series. I'm gonna watch every series, and when is Jimmy coming back?
You said who's coming back?
When is Jimmy Butler coming back? Because I think he's going to be missed game 2.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't hear about him missing game 2.
Look, if he ain't there, I ain't either. I am not watching the fucking Miami Heat in a playoff series without Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler. Are you insane?
Heat Knicks. This is a real tribute series. They about to try to run out there. Where's the 77-76 at? You know, the 78-75 final score, you know.
Terrible tasting vegetables. Terrible tasting vegetables. Nah, man, I can't do it. I don't.
Can we get Jeff Van Gundy on the sideline? Like, this seems familiar. Where's Pat Riley?
Yeah. Like, I wonder. You know.
I saw Alonzo there.
Yeah, because Alonzo's out of them games and he has some seats. So I wonder, like, if like Van Gundy can like walk from the booth or like pregame, walk up to Alonzo and talk to him, whatever else. They can just play the clip. Just just anything for an excuse to play the clip. Of them fighting in Jeff Van Gundy grabbing onto that man's leg for dear life.
Right.
But yeah, man, like it's been a fun playoff so far, and I really think they're like, in a weird way, like. I feel like I feel like there are 5 teams that can fucking win, which is like, that never happens. You can never say that.
Anybody can be beat.
I guess so. But yeah, like, we'll be back next week to see what happens. Like, right now, we'll see what the Suns do. We'll see. Like, we'll see. I don't trust their defense, and I don't trust like Embiid, not Embiid, but Aiden being able to like curtail any of the Jokic stuff. But we'll see.
Well, let's move forward. This week featured some more drama for WWE that was promptly swept under the rug by the timeline and everything, but. When I saw this, I was like, wow, I'm going to have to wait all the way until Monday to talk about this. So I went in a couple forums, started unloading, the takes a little bit. And, but yeah, if you guys hadn't heard, Vince McMahon and WWE are being sued by an ex-writer over the racist scripts that are, racist, language stuff that happened during meetings. So here's a story right here. So this writer, she's a black female writer. Her name is Brittany Abrahams. She objected to offensively racist and stereotypical jargon used in the scripts of black wrestlers Bianca Belair and Apollo Crews. She complained multiple times, and those complaints were ignored. And she was terminated for taking home a WrestleMania branded chair, according to the complaint. As you guys know, Vince reinstated himself to the board in January, and he's still dealing with the litigation with the rape and sexual assault cases from employees,
in which he spent company funds to subsidize this stuff. Meanwhile, someone gets fired over a chair. Apparently,
unbelievable. Right. WWE just merged with UFC and sold to Endeavor and all that, and Abraham, she'd been writing for WWE since 2020, working on Raw and SmackDown. She then complained about the racial and gender stereotypes in scripts, including ones instructing Bianca Belair to say, don't make me take off my earrings and beat your ass, which apparently was something Bianca vehemently rejected. Kept seeing it pop up in the script time and time again. Asked why this line that she does not want to say because it makes her sound ghetto in her opinion. It was repeatedly ending up in there. So like she's kind of caught in all this. And the whole thing with Apollo Crews, the Nigerian stuff, we talked about it at the time. He had to speak with the stereotypical and exaggerated Nigerian accent. WWE, of course, has not responded to.
Yeah, they'll come out with a ceremonial spear.
They had a Nigerian drum fight, whatever the fuck that is. There were more things such as like Stephanie McMahon was named in a lawsuit. They had another thing where they had Reggie and they had suggested that he dress in drag and have Shane Thorne hunt him weekly. It would be like a running gag. Another occasion, a writer allegedly proposed that.
Hold on, you didn't finish the full story of that. Like, he was supposed to hold Reggie captive, and then Reggie would escape and run away on some type of like regular basis, like weekly or bi-weekly.
Yeah. And then, like, there was supposed to be a Muslim wrestler's secret that they were behind the 9/11 attacks, and this could have been Mustafa Ali. If you guys remember, there was some, I remember one time he spoke about something being so bad that he would never reveal it, that was pitched to him, he turned down. I'm not saying that this is the key. This is him or anything, but what I'm saying is connect the dots here, people. Let's use our brains. Like, and then, the whole thing is like, people say, some of the people have responded. They were like, wacky things are said in the writer's room all the time. That was, whatever excuse they're trying to make for it. But
yeah, I saw some of the stuff that people said, and I was like, yeah, that sounds a lot like locker room talk. Like that excuse. It's like, yeah, sometimes people, get out of pocket with it, and then we bring people in. It's like, how we just don't get out of pocket? Because it's a fucking workspace. It's a professional workspace.
These are all the things that we talk about with language and the portrayal of black people. And if we just think about it just from a watching the show perspective, and a lot of this comes down to the writing team feeling like they don't know how to write for Bianca Belair, right?
Yep.
And just from a watching the show standpoint, I've said they don't know how to write for Bianca Belair because they do nothing interesting with her. And this is an eye-opening thing that seems to be related to this, because if your only idea is to slip this kind of jargon in her language and everything like that, like, you want to present her a certain way that is being pushed back on, because when I look at Bianca Belair, I see the all-American woman. And everyone does not see that, apparently. And this is the culture that, and Dave Schilling talked about it, that came out. It was a writer there saying, it's Vince, it's Michael Hayes, it's Pritchard, it's all the old guard. I would say, hey, this lawsuit seems like it's a lot more than that. Like, this thing's kind of culturally baked in there. Of course, racial stereotypes in pro wrestling. There's no I feel like, in the court, if we were trying to prove racism about WWE, it would be as easy as proving the sky color. But this whole thing I feel like it should be a smoking gun sound the alarm moment, especially as it relates to Bianca Belair in her presentation, because it's like, it's amazing the level of silence that I saw on the timeline. That, people that have so much to say in other situations that oddly couldn't find the words, stuttering like the Dutta Man from New Jack City.
Yeah, so
talking their tails, running.
So I had one specific thought was the Fast Nationals dude, where was he? Because AEW so white, or what was it, all elite white people or whatever he was calling it, is look, obviously there's something to that, but obviously we know why he's doing that. He's doing it in bad faith because he's not downing AEW as much as he's trying to hold up or WWE, and it's like, all right, man, well, let me know when Tony Khan's up in a lawsuit. And I'm willing to believe that eventually there will be one, right? Because I don't think necessarily pro wrestling in general, regardless of the promoter, don't traffic in some of this stuff to an extent, or as far as you look at who gets pushed and who doesn't. That's the reality. Like, pro wrestling ain't no different than like society. But WWE's in court, and they're not right now. But I didn't see anybody really talk about that from the people that you normally hear this kind of stuff complaining about, like representation of people in AEW. And I was like, I even saw people saying like, Bianca's a champion, and blah blah blah. And I'm like,
oh yeah, that right there. That's a great.
I love. I remember Damon Wayans used to.
That's so easy to undo. I'm like, okay, so when they take it off of her, using your logic, that would mean what?
Yeah. But I was thinking more along the lines of like the old Damon Wayans like stand up spot where he talked about like he loves when these reporters like walk up on these athletes and ask them crazy shit. He's like, so David, you just got your new contract. I'm not going to really get into it. $40 million. What are your thoughts on racism in America? And then like Damon Wayans as a joke like, nah, sir, ain't no racism I be seeing. Like, so like it's one of those. It's like, look, man, somebody went to a rich ass neighborhood in LA, a notoriously famous one as well, and wrote nigga on LeBron James's house. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this dude is now a billionaire. This shit, like, this success and wealth don't hide you from or insulate you from all of this shit that, like, people will like to think it does. It doesn't. So yeah, like, just because someone's successful does not mean they not run to that shit. Just like, same thing for successful women in the workplace. Like, it's a mess. And, I don't think there's some, solvable situation for this, but I'm just saying, like, hey, let's be empathetic to the people that have to suffer through this stuff, and hope that like these places actually eventually over time learn to embrace them and better themselves and be inclusive and follow the talk they put out as far as they want these places to be inclusive. Because that's the thing, all these places want to say they want to do the hard work and that kind of stuff. These places don't, or these places genuinely have a misunderstanding of what actual hard work is.
And sometimes it's not even the company, I think. But we know what people in their regular lives bring to companies that shape the culture. So right. Like, if it's this writer, head writer or whoever it is that can't shut the hell up about it and keeps continuously making these comments. And, according to that story, like, he's doing a lot of the gaslight stuff. Like, he was like, oh, so you're the lead writer now. And then every time he would start talking, he would, refer to the young lady and then be like, oh, we got run by her. She's the lead writer now. And like all this stuff. And that makes people shut down, not engage, not even want to talk, and ultimately dread showing up to work. And being in there, that environment with those people. And then, there are times people don't even recognize that stuff. And then you hear something and then you can't unhear the rest of it. So who knows how long this has been going on? I mean, you can just look at what's been going on screen for years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah, it ain't hard to tell.
Like,
ain't hard to figure. Like, in like not even just the covert ways, but in the overt ways.
Like, this is a check. Jeremy Div's about to cut a check. Yeah. Like, this is like she's like I don't know how you could argue against this. Like,
right. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. All right, well then, how about we go on YouTube and find Michael Cole calling Mark Henry the silverback of the WWE? How about we pull up Vince McMahon in a do-rag saying, what's up, my nigga, the Booker T? How about we pull up Crime Time with Wise?
Yeah, man. This should really be, WWE doesn't like to go to court. I feel like, I believe the young lady wants her job back. I'm not sure.
So it's like a Brian Flores situation.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but she did come prepared. She has the Johnny Cochran firm representing her. So yeah, like it's not a game. Like, this is not some lightweight thing that's going on here. And ultimately, I saw this get passed over, and people keeping their back straight. They either want access, they affiliated, and all that, and that's their prerogative, But notice the silence and who perpetuates what, and who feels like they can't speak on this because it becomes real obvious.
Right. Because look, you can go through our reel when AEW has some situation like this, like what happened with Ember, was it Ember? Ember Moon. I'm sorry, not Ember Moon. I'm sorry.
Big Swole.
Yeah, Big Swole. Why am I calling her Big Ember? First of all, I'm not even calling her Athena. I'm calling her Ember Moon.
This man all the way
right. Like I'm doing the thing they say, all black, all looking like whatever. With Swole, because I almost called her Ariel Monroe, and I was like, nah, that's her NXT shit. So with Swole, it's like when that happened, we did a segment on that and said a lot of the same things you're saying right now. So, trust me, if for those that think we're like some pro AEW, nut hugger type of situation, look, Tony Khan fucks up, we talk about it too. We don't hide. And I don't know why these people, because honestly, I think it ultimately comes down to because we're working in faith here when it comes to all this shit. A lot of people, you can see, they don't. So that's why, the people that if they had said if they had three letters, it would have been totally different.
It would have been letting it fly, uninhibited. Good God. Comes out that, they was telling Jade Cargill she need to speak. Oh my God. I don't even want to know what happened there.
Well, here's my question, right? Who told Brandy to come out there and do the open mic night line? Well, who came up with that bar?
We will never know. Cause look, that's exactly what the shit that Bianca's talking about. Like when that one comes out, it's like, all right, I don't want to do that. This is absurd. Get out of here. Yeah, that's a great question. I hope that someone asks her about that one day. Be like, hey, did you was this you or was this other exterior forces that were that can't? What made you go with that line?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, Sheamus Nova. Never forget what ACH had to go through. Correct. They made they gave him a nigga shirt.
Yes, in the words of Tanya. Yeah, they gave
Tanya
a nigga shirt. Is that still your thing on Messenger?
I believe so.
That was years ago. Oh my God. I was like 20. Was that 2019 or 2020? Yeah, man. They gave him a nigga shirt. Shout out to Tanya. That's still one of the 5 funniest things ever happened on this fucking show.
Oh man. Yeah. So moving along. WWE. Stop being racist, please.
Yeah. Try. Yeah. Try.
That's all you got to do. Trinity debuted at Impact Wrestling. So this was the only other pro wrestling appearances she made was around WrestleMania weekend at WrestleCon. I believe she also appeared at Wale Mania as the guest of honor. And there were rumors about her possibly going to Stardom, like Twitter stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
But ultimately she landed at Impact Wrestling. And I saw this and I was like, interesting. Because I don't think really anyone really ends up at Impact by choice. Like they kind of just like you happen to be there. It's
like a safety school almost.
Right. It's like, you go there to either increase your value or you go there when no one wants to touch you.
I don't want to. Okay, so MLW is actually last chance you, but this is like going to Butler or one of those elite community college schools where it's like, all right, I'm just gonna get here and I'm gonna go to the middle of nowhere in Mississippi or Kansas. And I'm gonna grind for 2 years, get my A. And then I'll have, and hopefully I'll be able to get through this shit enough times that I can get 3 years eligibility at some school, some Power 5 school. Like that's what this seems like, or for the most part when people talk about Impact. But yeah, I saw it and much like you and honest, I was like, they do have good women's wrestlers. They do commit to storytelling there with women in ways that I wish that AEW and WWE would do more. And you know, with Deanna there, with Jordan there, I think like there's worse places to land. And I thought that like I'm interested to see what she does. And I might actually watch Impact just to see her because I miss her. Seriously. So, what were your thoughts on it?
It is very rare that I will follow a wrestler that I like to watch to Impact Wrestling. Like, yeah. But I have made exceptions such as like Alan Angels. I watched, you know, I've checked out Speedball Mike Bailey there. I've checked out Vikingo when he showed up there. Of course, Kenny, when he went, I was going to watch pretty much everything he did. I think they'll get one out of me with Trinity.
They get one. Yeah.
Like they'll get one, and I can't promise what happens from there. But her being, obviously, you know, people are when a woman doesn't sign, or when anyone almost doesn't sign to AEW, like why didn't they go there? So if it were, you know, maybe they weren't meant to. Maybe they didn't want to.
Maybe they weren't close enough on price. Maybe, you know, maybe who knows? We don't know if there was actually a negotiation between them. There was a call made between both parties. We don't know that. You know, why didn't she go back? Why didn't she go back to WWE? Right. And don't get me wrong, like there is reason for Trinity to say like, I want no parts of this right now. A much similar fashion to what happened, you know, at the LA Forum with Mercedes not showing up. Like, do you want to be a part of that right now? From what you've seen from 2023 AEW Women's Wrestling, like, is that something you want to be a part of right now? Where like the best wrestlers pop up, go away, they have nothing going on. There's only one storyline. It involves half a dozen people. Where do you fit in if you just come in?
I can't blame her. I can't blame AEW if they were like, we really ain't, you know, trying to do it right now, because you have to. Like, if it was me, right? If I was a star women's wrestler, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, I'll sign there. But I don't feel like you can sign a woman of a Mercedes Moné's caliber, of a Trinity even, with their strong fan bases, with their likely price tags, right? Yep. Naomi's been in WWE since
about a decade,
13 years, some shit like that. She was in developmental in like 2009 and shit.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like since the call up,
right? And you know, I don't think she was never like a top 4 person there, but she's, you know, she's got her own fan base.
She was always somebody that was under push, and always was somebody, or compared to how much people liked her. And she was always somebody that was like, if some shit goes wrong, she can be a B-side of a storyline on a split brand. And they did that at different times with, you know, the Mandy Rose stuff that ran its course, or even like, you know, eventually she gets thrown in with Asuka at the end of 2018 into the Becky and Charlotte thing.
I think unless AEW is going to fundamentally change how they push women's wrestlers, I don't think you can either blame women for not signing with them, or them for, like, you know, adding people. It's like, all right, if you're adding somebody to change the paradigm, cool. But if you're adding somebody and they're not, and you're going to continue to, you know, present them that way, doesn't make sense, really. Right. Like, stick with prospects, stick with, like, it's almost like a baseball team, right? Like, it's like, if I have a limited amount of money, like the Tampa Bay Rays or something, right? You're not going to waste it on like this big bat or something like that. You're going to shore up the pitching, the defense cheaply, and try to like plug the holes. But, you know, with them having another show coming up, I think you might want to try to get in the business of like making offers to superstar women's wrestlers around the world. Like, just a thought.
Well, one would hope, but if it's, you know, if it's still the same thing, whereas, you know, I guess in this case it would be well,
at least they'd have 2.
If they put the women's wrestling on at 7:20 for Saturday, then it's like, oh, well, then what's the fucking point? I guess you give that slot to like to like Anna Jay and Tay. But yeah, man, it's a weird landscape. It really is, like, outside the top 2 in America. And, like, you know, even hearing the Stardom stuff when, you know, she, you know, obviously her and Mercedes, and their connection, you know, there are a bunch of places for her to go. Like, if she wants to, I would wonder, like, where this goes. Like, if she turns into a thing where, like, you know, she becomes, like, a top indie star or whatever, or quote unquote indie star, where, like, she might come in for a shot at, like, Ring of Honor. She might come in for New Japan, or New Japan of America. Like, there are ways to do this. And, you know, even like Rocky Romero was just talking about this recently about, like, look, like, they're interested in, like, landing some WWE people that, like, you know, for at least on a short-term basis to you know, kind of pop New Japan different areas and kind of give some freshness to the cards. So, like, yeah, if you know, there is an IWGP women's title, there's going to be a strong women's title. Like, yeah, that's going to be needed. And there is enough talent around that's not, like, signed up and locked down somewhere to be able to do this. So, like, if she's part of that, great. Because I would like to see her, you know, wrestle people she's never wrestled before. I would like to see that.
Yep, you mentioned it, but the New Japan Strong Women's Championship has just been created. I was baffled when I saw this. I was like, what on earth is this? I see it and I'm like, well, they're creating a New Japan women's division now. And I saw the tournament they set up. So the tournament is Steph Vicaire, I believe. I think never
it's
seen the young
Stephanie
lady.
Valcour. I can't remember. She's I think
CMLL.
Yeah, we're CMLL. She's not Mexican. I think she's from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you see her from time to time on those CMLL cards.
Mercedes Moné, they'll be facing in round 1. And then on the other side is Momo Kogo and Willow Nightingale.
Momo Kogo, who, like, may or may not actually be able to make it over after the severe concussion that left her getting stretchered out during the pre-show of the Rumble.
What is this? This is a joke.
You know what this is. This is Mercedes. This is Mercedes. I'm gonna say Mercedes Martinez. This is Mercedes Moné creating not only jobs but creating divisions and belts. This is the second time she's done this in New Japan. she
bro, is the IWGP Women's title just gone now? Like,
no, it's still there. This is for like when they do American shows. From what I presume anyway, like the IWGP Women's title is just for. It's gonna be in New Japan and like cheap
wasn't that the function of the other belt?
I think ultimately comes down to is like, hey, I don't feel like getting on this 14-hour flight.
This is
who knows? Bro, who knows?
They're going to have more women. They're going to have more belts than women signed to their promotion. I don't understand this. This is.
Well, to be fair, we know there's a gigantic distinction between New Japan of America. We know that New Japan of America is like almost like an NXT to the main roster of, you know, domestic New Japan. So like, you're right and technically right, but in practice, not so much. But the jokes are worth it though. The jokes are definitely worth it.
Like, bro, I saw this and I was like, huh. Like, and then, like, you know, think about the IWGP Women's Belt, and Mercedes had that, dropped it. Thought she would do more with it, but apparently not. Now it's just, where's the IWGP belt going to primarily live now? Like, is this like
it'll still be like it'll be on the domestic shows. It'll be on the domestic shows. Like it'll be on like, you know, Dominion, New Japan, Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom, and like Sakura Genesis. It'll be on stuff like that. And then obviously you'll have like, you know, however many defenses in Stardom or whatever else. Like they did that to get Mercedes in the door and the shock of and all the stuff, her showing up. But then eventually it's like the reality of like, is she really going to come over here that often?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just thinking the reality of it is like, okay, so She was in New Japan, or sorry, she was in New Japan. She was in Stardom for a little bit. She might go back. Who knows? But like in the meantime, between time, like, let's put this on her, and we say we have a champion.
Yeah.
And like, and look, I will say this though. I am really interested, really interested to see like Mercedes versus Willow. I really would like to see that, and I barring something crazy happening, we're getting that. So I'm with it.
Yeah. Just baffled. That's all. I'm like, I thought the other belt was supposed to. You're
absolutely right, though. It is unnecessary. It is unnecessary.
And it's just like the 50 years of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then. Two women's belts created in the same year. I'm like, hold on, bro. What's going on here? Interesting. But beyond that,
so someone in the comments says that Willow actually works a nice power style reminiscent of you. I think that Willow is more giving with her opponents.
I was going to say, we won't have to worry about Willow Nightingale refusing to lose. So, up next, the shirt.
The shirt.
I am upset that we have to even dignify this with airtime. I saw this eat up an entire weekend of discourse of what I think was brain dead thinking. I didn't talk about it on Twitter because you don't have to have an opinion on everything publicly on Twitter. However, Britt Baker released a shirt with a black eye on it. And she was like wearing a hoodie, like an AEW hoodie, and it was basically like she was monetizing the shirt that Saraya and the gang, the Outcasts, like made to poke fun at her because they roughed her up or whatever. Some people have jumped out the window to think that this shirt is promoting domestic violence. And it spiraled from there all the way up to Fox News running a story because of the discourse that this all created. I'll say this. I don't like the shirt. I'm not going to buy the shirt. I don't
Who the
think
fuck's wearing this shirt?
Look, I don't think it was creative or anything, but it was like, I think people like jumped out the window so far on this where it's like, one, why I don't care about ever explaining anything to a non-wrestling fan. I just don't. I think it's a bad faith argument. I think it is something. And normally, any other case, we would say that, right? If someone walks in on you watching some shit, like, it's wrestling. Like, this is for us. Like, I don't have to. And I don't know why people would want to live their lives having to explain shit to other people anyway. Like, why do we choose to live like that?
Yeah, like I'm not I'm not living my life being like, damn, if only they didn't blitz in that situation and I have to explain to the person next to me why it was done for him to blitz on third and short. Like I don't do that. I don't do that.
like for people
damn, they should have never trapped or blitzed Steph Curry 45 feet away from the rim, and now Draymond gets to play at 4-on-3 on going downhill. I never have to explain that.
I see this shit, right? And I'm like, if you want to make jokes about it, say, hey, that's something what it looks like. I'm not going to stop you from making jokes. I'm not going to tell you that the shirt is fine to look at. It's a bad shirt, whatever. Mm-hmm. What I will say is if you are saying that it looks like domestic violence in a battered woman's shirt, I'm going to ask you, one, why did your mind jump immediately to that? And why did you think that domestic violence, like, why did that jump in your mind? Explain that to me.
Right.
I think people should reevaluate how they look at women. I think society at large, this is an example of being sexist towards women. I think it was baffling that people jumped all the way to this and spent the weekend arguing about it.
Rich, the image of Mick Foley smiling after getting thrown through the cage at Hell in a Cell, and his teeth are in his nose. If someone took a pic, if someone just put that and printed it on a T-shirt, that image, right? No one's coming to the conclusion of domestic violence. It's just, it's crazy. But because it's, like you mentioned, because it's a woman, then immediately the thing is, well, how did she get that black eye? Is this some type of revenge shirt you're wearing on this person? Like, no.
Like,
and like that is, I guess that's part that comes, the stupid part that comes with like putting out a shirt that like no one will want to buy anyway. But it's really, I luckily I missed all of this stuff. But like I heard, like I saw that y'all were just talking like, bro, this is popping up everywhere. And then I saw the Fox News thing. I was like, now I know this is stupid.
Right.
Now I know this is stupid.
Right. And to Fox News' credit, I read like they didn't basically jump in there and like, it was just a guy that wrote a story about some, a internet story that happened on Twitter, whatever. But I feel like this is absolutely foolishness. Like this is such a leap in logic and really trying to seriously justify that looks like a domestic violence shirt. I literally Googled domestic violence shirt to look at Google images.
What?
I typed that in my Google search history, and then all I see is like words and phrases and like there's not a single picture on there of a woman, let alone Britt Baker, that has the black eye on it, and it's like, this is Britt Baker derangement syndrome. This is a lot of shit. Like she was arguing back and forth with people, swatting them left and right. Like I said, I'm not going to personally like try to change people's opinion on the shirt because I don't care if you like the shirt. I don't like the shirt. I wouldn't buy it. But
and you were saying there's a person that's bought like bloodied up Britt Baker shirts before.
Correct.
Right.
Like I just want to understand why people assume this is someone getting beat on by a man. Like we did not see Rihanna shirts like pop up at Chris Brown protests. Like, we did not. Like, why did you like people's fascination with saying that you might have to explain this to somebody is really fucking weird to me. This is a shirt made by a pro wrestler for a pro wrestling storyline that fits in with thousands of other pro wrestling shirts,
right? That
need to be explained, apparently,
right?
Like, my only regret, James, was in the discourse on this that I would not be able to wear a hoodie the whole show for tonight and then unzip this shit for the segment and have the shirt on just to fuck with everyone. That's the only regret I have.
Stop giving Britt Baker your money. Like, you stop this now.
Like I can't believe this. Like it's just like I can't believe people spent their weekends on this on Twitter, and then there was half like there was like the we talked about the WWE lawsuit stuff getting swept away.
No, yeah, and that was to make room
right
for that.
Here.
Yep, that was to make room for that. Yeah.
I found a picture of CM Punk and MJF when MJF was a kid taking a picture with CM Punk, and then there's blood splashed on it, right? Like, apparently we should have been thinking that's a serial killer leaving clues, as an older white man killing his child or something like that. Like these are the leaps in logic that we're talking about. We're talking about because the complaints are like, yeah, there's no type of pro wrestling thing on it. It's like, there's an AEW logo right there. She's wearing it says All Elite on her thing. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's like, I don't know, man. I saw this and I was just befuddled that people would care this much. And then like I looked at the traffic on the Fox News stories because that other story got one too, like double the Twitter traffic, like maybe even triple. And it was like, are we serious? Are we really doing this?
People must have been bored this weekend, I guess. I don't get it, man. I'm with you. Like, this is dumb, and like this is for a shirt that like no one's really gonna buy.
I don't know anyone that like I've talked to only a couple people about it. None of them like the shirt.
Right.
Whether they have a problem with like how it looks or not.
Right.
No one actually would buy it.
Right, like it's in that same category of like have a fat ass and a bad attitude. Like it's like no one's buying the shirt. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, man. Like I can't believe this, man. Any additional thoughts on this?
No,
James.
No.
God, fuck this shirt. Like I don't. So you have written on their WWE Draft absurdity. I learned tonight that Brock Lesnar is not drafted. He is a free agent still. So of course they're just making it up as they go. I didn't know where you wanted to take this, James.
It's just the simple stuff the typical stuff they do in like every draft since like the 2016 draft, where like they turn into a week-long thing between the two shows, and because Vince doesn't actually watch real sports, like he does it in a way that like is unbefitting of like how you actually like split or separate or disperse talent, right? So, you know, all of a sudden, like Zelina Vega or was it it was Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell gets drafted and saying before the fucking SmackDown Women's Champion Rhea Ripley. It's stuff like that. I'm just like, this is fucking dumb, and it's always been dumb, but it still annoys me that they still haven't decided like to fix this. So yeah, I just, it was basically that. It didn't have to go long or whatever. It's just that stuff like that. I'm just like, this is useless. Like try to make a show out of it is like, it's a total misunderstanding of why the NFL draft is like fun and why people watch it. And it's like the interest stories of the people and obviously some of that sweet black trauma. But aside from that part is like to see like these people have their lives changed after they've basically worked for a number of years, or in a lot of cases, like half their lives to get to this point. And you see like the celebration amongst their families, and you get to see like these is a potential turning point for certain franchise that might be, just on the cusp, or this might be, the downfall of them. And like, you don't know until the games start playing. It builds the intrigue. Like that's not what happens in these WWE drafts at all. Like, you don't get to find out more about these wrestlers as far as more from their characters, whatever else, or like where they're headed and what kind of like, for example, right? If let's say you're the Oakland Raiders on the clock, right? They draft a defensive end. You're like, oh wow, they're drafting a pass rusher to try to get after Pat Mahomes, because you got to see him twice a year, right? They don't draft people and be like, and then they pull up and they sit, have Graves next to Cole, and they talk about, this is going to be like the new women's title picture. This is a new tag team title picture. Or this is like, well, in this case, like this is the I can't beat Roman Reigns, so here nigga damn title picture. Yes. They don't do it like that. So it's like they're complete misunderstanding of what makes that fun and how you can add to it from a kayfabe perspective that you could actually make it interesting. Like if I don't really want to get into this, but like, don't you think that if like AEW did a draft for like this upcoming shit between Collision and Dynamite, it would be more interesting because it would actually focus on that kind of stuff. Like, these are potential rivals you get. This is, blah, 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 had history of blah, 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 this, and now they're going to be in the same place for the first time in a long time. They don't do that.
You would think they do that. I can't guarantee that they would, though. But,
That's true. Also, but, like, they better not do no full-on brand split between Collision and whatever else. That, what that's going to turn into. Fuck that side, I'm not watching it. Fuck that side, I'm not watching it.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, that's a Sunday morning watch. Like off the rip for me. Like, Saturdays, I'm usually at my creative best on Saturdays, so I don't know. But, we don't get, like, James, think of like the fun that we've had paying attention to sports and drafts, like Arion, and the highlight tapes and shit like that.
Right.
Why don't we got no Arion type person that we not seen from NXT, that they only have like, they have some type of tape on, or just that isn't even on NXT. They could have drafted them and say, yeah, this guy's gonna be fucking incredible, like, and then
Rich,
whatever.
But Rich, they could do that with like with NXTers, because like you know, there's a gigantic amount of people. I can't percentage that doesn't give a flying fuck about NXT. It's developmentally don't care. Whatever.
Hold on, before you do that, people type in Air Jan Vesley in the search engine on YouTube and watch the video where those brothers are rapping in that foreign language. I'm not sure what it was. He Slovenian?
I think it's Czech, wasn't he?
Czech. They were rapping,
Well, we presume it's Czech. We don't know for sure it's Czech.
I don't know what them brothers rapping about, but it was right. And all we were seeing was Jan Vesley dunking on people the wrong way.
Yeah. That's one of those big, like, obviously, like, we've gotten a lot more accurate in being able to forecast, like, what our European brothers do in these Euro leagues. But, like, this is still the era where it's like, hey, man, we trying to find another Dirk. we trying to find another Dirk out this bitch. And, like, you would see, look, Mario Hazonia, right? We would see these wings and whatever. Remember when they were calling that man Italian Kobe and Mario Hazonia? Look, we were just trying to see, like, look, man, this man has a highlight reel. It's interesting. We were trying to see something. And Jan Vez was out here giving some of them, he was out here giving I don't know what the word for Gaijin is in Czech, but he was out here giving them out-of-towners that work. Yeah. Just an open floor monster. Just come out here jamming on people who were like, hey, man, this is going to be something. It was not. It absolutely was not.
Fran Fischilla showing up to small places in war-torn countries, yes. looking for newfound money.
Yeah. But like, just like how we came across it on YouTube, and you know, we had our inside thing, whatever else enjoyed it. But like, you can honestly like draw interest in guys by being like, hey, you know, there's this, you know, how about you show a video package of a guy, right? Coming from NXT, be like, this is what they bring to the table. Look at this person. They do this that other people don't do in WWE, and that's what they're bringing to the game. Like, that could draw some interest. Like, you know, seeing Dragon Lee do the fucking torpedo dive or whatever else, which he probably won't be allowed to do. You know, onto the barricade, on the people on top of the barricade. Like, that would grab people's attention, right? Like, you know, think at a different time, like you show like a slow motion picture of like Kyrie doing the elbow, or Neville doing the red arrow at the time. Like that will captivate people to a certain extent, or at least draw some intrigue. They don't even do it. Like, they'd be like, oh, Indy Hartwell's up here. Another part is like, Indy Hartwell was like just a fucking women's champion. I think she's still the champion.
Yeah.
Like, she just won the thing. Did she just win the shit at WrestleMania weekend?
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, what else we got?
But drafted before the fucking SmackDown was champion. Fuck.
Cody left away from Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Sorry, brother.
Yep. And
everybody that's worth like any type of threat at all to Roman Reigns completely moved to Raw. And Roman Reigns left with all these over 40-year-olds that present no actual threat to the title. We get ready for the Edge rematch. Get ready for AJ Styles at some point. Get ready for Bobby Lashley. You know, all these people that have zero chance in hell at you know, contending for the championship. They're actually
Bobby
winning.
Lashley's gonna be Roman Reigns. This motherfucker can't get on WrestleMania except to come on show and stand at the top of the ramp and hold up a trophy. Okay,
you know,
sure.
Are we going to get, you know, I believe the Street Profits were drafted over there as well. Are we going to get the one-off, you know, the only thing is, I don't know if Roman wrestles enough. Are we going to get the one-off Street Profit member challenging Roman Reigns for them joints? And you know he ain't got a shot in hell, because I feel like that's going to happen.
Could be.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just like the best thing I've heard from anybody trying to make sense of, like, I guess the top of the men's singles divisions between this draft is that, like, oh well, Cody can just win the Rumble next year and then win it at WrestleMania 40. And I'm like, y'all, they're gonna try to get The Rock again. And you fucking know this. You stop it. Stop acting like you don't know these fucking people, man.
Then the justification will be, well, you know, the Rock hometown Rock from Philly.
Oh,
you know,
my fucking God.
Isn't
that true? Isn't that true? Isn't that one of his stops? Because remember, like 2012, he did, yeah. Rock been somewhere everywhere. Fucking army brat, but it's wrestling.
This man was he became a high school All-American in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Somewhere everywhere.
It was at SummerSlam last year. I bet you they booked Nashville. They try to get Rock over there too. You know, he was in Memphis. God. You know, it was close enough. You know, he grew up. He was there. You know, when his dad was in the territories. You know, close enough.
Oh my God.
Florida, California, everywhere. Wait till we get to Hawaii WrestleMania. All right.
I hope that never happens.
Man, I hope that might be kind of fun.
Look, you got to remember, like, our Hawaiian brothers don't want us actually coming for vacation over there.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. It's bad for them. Like, everything's so expensive and their price of living is way inflated because of like the vacation aspect or the tourism aspect. Yeah. So like, you know, people be talking about going to Hawaii, and I'm just like, don't you listen to these people say they don't want you coming to their island? No, you don't give a fuck because you just want to, you know, see this, you know, see the tropical shit. Okay, all right, assholes.
Yeah. So moving on. Wembley, in AEW, I believe the pre-sale may begin like tomorrow morning, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. People are already getting their emails that have signed up. I believe they have crossed over 60,000 in the pre-sale signups for this. James, I mean, I'm here to. I've been talking about it in group chats. I may have talked about it on Twitter. They selling this bitch out, bro.
For me, it doesn't even matter because they'll come up with the next excuse for why there's some type of failure.
You're right.
Right.
You're right.
So, like, you know, the original thought was, well, they have, what was it, 40? Was it 50,000 or 45,000 signups at the time? It was 40. I can't remember.
I think it started as like
40?
30.
30 was supposed to be some type of failure because, like, these people don't know how much it costs. Because people don't know how much this shit costs to rent that building. And then, you know, it's going to look bad on TV. It's going to look bad on screen. It's like, I just saw a SummerSlam in an NFL stadium that wasn't even filled halfway up. And you know, if you don't know the tricks of what they did, you don't know the stuff that went into the stage production and all that stuff, you would assume this place was fucking filled, packed to the gills, and it was rocking because, one, even though it was only like 40,000 people, it's still 40 fucking thousand people. That's a lot of goddamn people. And it was put to one side of the building, and they lost their minds. They loved what they saw, and they got a good show by WWE standards, and so the crowd was happy for it. So yeah, like none of that stuff that people, you know, like they thought it was gonna be like it was gonna be like the G1 in Dallas, where like in Japan, like they don't give a flying fuck about how it looks on screen. They're just trying to sell as many tickets as possible, and it was gonna be like blocked up. It's like, nah, man, that's not how they do it. Like, I don't know how you haven't watched AEW more than once and not realize that they're more similar between how they handle their stuff with like WWE or American Pro Wrestling than they are with like Japan. Yeah, it's fine. But then like I see that pre-sign up thing, the number kept going and kept going. And now it's up to 60, and I'm trying to figure out what the next deal for people they're going to be in deep denial or actually, I take it back, it's going to be stages of grief with this. So yeah, I never thought actually sold out, but I thought like it'll be over half full and that'll be perfectly fine.
Scrambling, gambling on mandolins and violins.
Yeah. I guess they'll come with the next thing, like they'll shove it on the rug like they're doing with this, you know, the sexual the racist lawsuit stuff is going on right now. Just like, you know, how, you know, it's no one's really talking about how Vince is back and that's bullshit. You know, it's an ongoing thing. They just roll with the punches. Yeah. They roll with the punches. Anything for the home team.
Yeah. This is gonna be a feather in the cap for but like this thing goes up like,
well, you know, I guess I'll move on to the live gate. Well, you know, Clash of the Castle.
You know, it's because of the low ticket prices.
Yeah.
You know,
because but historically, when prices for tickets are low, less people go. Oh, what do you mean? Well, that's actually the history of how ticket selling works. like you sell the hot item and people want to go to it, and that's why you serve.
Well, as long as you don't, as long as you don't go crazy, because with Clash of the Castle,
they went
crazy and they tried to take advantage of them people, and then and they put them because they had a lot of signups too. Yeah, and I think they could have sold more tickets because ultimately they took them prices back down. So
yeah, that's what and that's what they were explaining is like that's what their strategy is. They try to sell them as many tickets or as high of a price point as they possibly can, and then once that wave of tickets go by, then they be like, all right, these people aren't marks, or like the rest of these people that are in this market aren't marks. Then they'll, give them a more fair price. But like they're trying to sell them premium tickets at a super high price. Like it, that's kind of they never went down, but that's kind of how Stardom got down with Yokohama Arena. That first row, that first row was like, $2,200 to sit there. Like, man, I sat in the third row for Sumo Hall for 200 and something. That's insane. And they sold the fuck out. Like people will pay for the premium tickets.
Bro, them ringside tickets are $1,500. Like if I didn't have like responsibilities or anything, I could swing that. Like it would just be the travel that would kill you.
I mean, to be honest, like depending on how early it was it? It's May right now. That'd be what, the end of June? Or no, the end of May.
End of August.
End of August? Right now, if you got tickets right now, there's no way that ticket costs more than there's no way that ticket costs over $1,500.
Yeah.
Like if you were to book the shit right now.
Right.
Like there's no way that ticket's over $1,500. Because right now, like you can get a ticket. Yes, I've looked this up. Calm down. I've looked this up. But like you can get a ticket to Japan from the same way I did it from, whatever, for like $1,600 right now. But that's multiple months. But like I still think that you could probably get that ticket for probably like $1,400, $1,200, some shit like that.
It's gonna be a sad timeline, man. It's gonna be a throwback to them 2019 timelines when those initial pay-per-views and TVs would be, just selling a bunch of tickets, selling out in pre-sales. All the WrestleTix maps would go up, all the white on them, and like 2 blue spots and stuff like that, and the denial and the excuses, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, bro. Scalpers went crazy this time, didn't they?
Yep. Man, Tony Khan bought all that shit, didn't they?
Like, man, look, man, this is not like Universal Records trying to make a motherfucker go platinum. You stop this. Fuck out of here.
There are no bundles here.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's gonna happen. You know that scalper shit gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be like, well, and then most are gonna be like, well, this is a lower percentage of scalpers actually bought this shit compared to like WWE shows. What? Stop. It's okay. It's okay. There's a world where there's professional wrestling that's popular and Vince McMahon didn't have a hand in it. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Promise you.
Sick. Absolutely sick. I hope these people get well soon.
Sorry?
Said, I hope these people get well soon.
Come to terms. Acceptance is the last step of dealing with grief.
Yeah, like
don't you want to be like at peace, be able to like move on? No? Okay.
Like I feel like there's a flashing sign right now that's showing that this show, whether it sells out or not, is going to be very successful.
Yeah.
The rumors are, it's like, hey, there's going to be a streaming service. It's maybe the first event on like that HBO Max thing. So
no, HBO Max is
Max.
They're getting rid of HBO because apparently, like the award-winning television
is a detriment.
Is a detriment. Yeah. Like what? I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know what entails that. Maybe it's like Warner Brothers felt jealous or Discovery felt jealous. I don't fucking know, but whatever. They got rid of Mrs. Max. I still don't know, like, going forward, what they're going to do with, like, as far as how they handle Max with people that have, like, subscriptions or have their cable package already in place. Like, like I use Max for, like, because I have the cable. And I just use that I use that as the on-demand thing or whatever. So I don't know how that's going to go. I don't think it's been announced yet. Look, I ain't trying to, I'm not trying to pay for this fucking thing I have twice, but we'll see.
A couple questions actually from Frankie. He said, Should Roman beat Cody for the new belt in next year's WrestleMania? Oh my God.
I mean, I kind of floated that out to Tanya on Twitter the other day. I was like, because she pointed out, like, I guess she looked at the landscape, thoughtful person. It was like, I don't think any of these people gonna take Roman shit. So I guess the answer is it'll be Cody after 9 months. He'll win the Rumble again and then whatever. And I was like, but like, why should Cody win? I was like, and she was like, and I was like, the business ain't go down. And she was like, yeah, the business will go down, but the time is time. And then I didn't mess her. Just was like, but by next year you can get Roman to 1,500 days. Next year, late next year, you can get 1,500 days. Like, once you do this shit to justify getting to some arbitrary number, then
there's no limits.
As time goes by, like, the numbers keep getting greater, and it gives you more incentive to keep building the number up higher, higher, and higher. So it's like,
bro, it's like a drug.
It'll be 1,000 this year. It'll be 1,000 soon, and then and then it'll be like, hey, you can get them 1,500 next year.
So it's like a drug. Don't you want to get more high?
Right.
Like, try this.
Right.
And then try this. Got this fentanyl for you. Try this.
Wow.
Oh, you like the cocaine, huh? Well, have a load here. Speaking of, so it is not do drugs. CM Punk shows up. It's a Monday Night Raw. We kind of talked about it last week. Kind of not. It was kind of a late thing.
Yeah.
And he also showed up
while we were on the show.
Yeah.
We were doing the show, yeah.
And it was like, well, that's interesting. But like, I didn't really have any thoughts on it. I was like, I don't care where he shows up. Like, I don't, but the whole thing was like, he was going to see friends. And I'm like, but CM Punk doesn't have any friends. Like that's what went through my mind. This is exactly the most social individual in the world. But
I don't know if whether or not he's social as opposed to like he's overbearing. So, I saw this and just thinking about it is like, okay, so whether or not CM Punk meant to do this on purpose or not,
he's absolutely the story.
We absolutely know that he's smart enough to know that once you do this, you're kicking up dust. You're in a shitstorm we're already in. So don't know what his intent was. Don't know who he went to see outside of hearing his story about he ran into the Miz and Triple H, which is interesting. Is also a nice little play where it's like, I can eventually, come to terms with people that I had disagreements with. But, apparently, like, they don't, these other guys over there, they don't work with me. Right? There's some of that to that. There's definitely some of that to that. And there's also the part where,
you think CM Punk rolled up in there with no plan, James? Just saying,
I just want to see all the guys. Which of these guys are still around, except for Kofi?
who may or may not, like, even be on the show currently right now.
Right.
Raw done came to Chicago before in the last 7 years. You could have took your ass up there, I'm sure.
Plenty of times. You
don't even live there for what I gather. I thought you live in LA.
Right. So yeah, man, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, like if this is something where it's like Tony Khan, obviously this decision's already been made because it's like, oh, $50 million or piss off the elite. I think I'll take $50 million fucking dollars. I'm sorry, Kenny. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry, Adam. Sorry. Like there are some relationships that just like, I'm sorry, their relationship ain't worth $50 million fucking dollars. I'm sorry. So like even with that, it's still the part of like, all right. Some people think I would never go back there. Him showing up there was to show you that, like, nah, I'd go back there.
I think we've always said that.
I'd go back there. So yeah, and also, in his defense, right, workers' rights, all that kind of stuff. Like, if he was able to plan out a schedule, whatever else, if Edge is worth $3 million a year, CM Punk is worth $5.
Especially knowing what Edge actually brought, like, to the table.
Game. Yeah, right. To the game, right. You think of what he produced and what he brought to the game, yes.
And whatever CM Punk thinks is the counterculture, like he'll say like, "Oh, I can't go to WWE, huh?"
Oh, you think he's a contrarian?
Of course, of course. Like that's his whole thing. That's how he became a star.
I never really thought of it that deeply. I never really did. I just
like
thought
whatever the status quo is, like you rage against that machine or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think where he ran into a lot of the resistance, and this will take us into the Dynamite review later. They tried to start up a rare CM Punk chant in AEW since he's been gone, and like the other couple times, it was shouted and booed and stopped to hell in the main event while Kenny and Takeshita were working the Butcher and the Blade. And I think where he's run into that resistance here is like people actually like AEW. They like the Elite. They like Tony Khan for, the most part. Especially like in the buildings and shit like that. So it's like, are you going to rile up people that might not necessarily like those people? Sure you are. Take a look at the most listened to podcasts, wrestling podcasts like in the world right now. A lot of these shows are by old guys like Jim Cornette, Eric Bischoff. There's like Busted Open. There's some of the Conrad shows, and they have these huge audiences, and a lot of them all traffic in
shitting on AEW,
shitting on the Elite, Conan, Keeping It 100 with Disco Inferno, shitting on Modern Wrestling, shit like that. And like, you may be able to like appeal to some of those people, but like where it counts, I think he ran into a little bit more trouble than he anticipated. I don't think it's gonna like really matter or anything like that. I think when he comes back, he'll be fine in Chicago, but it could be difficult for him. But
when he comes back, he's getting booed.
Yeah, he's about to catch these boos like in a way where it's like might be uncomfortable for him, but I believe Dave termed it like this. He needs to cut the right promo, whatever that right promo is, whether it's to embrace what's coming to him or whatever.
Rich, but it ain't gonna matter. Like in my mind, I personally think, like, and I felt this way for a long time.
Do you think this is beyond like reacting to him in a pro wrestling sense?
Because unless he turns heel and runs with it and whatever else and gets him some good grace and does some jobs to the right people, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's only what it comes down to as far as the Elite like don't want to work with him, right? It's very similar to like the WrestleMania 30 thing of CM Punk versus Triple H, and Triple H is going to go over. Is like, I'm not doing you the fucking favor. Like, it makes you like you do the job. It makes you look like a good guy after all the all the shit that's going on. It's like, look, if CM Punk were to come out here, have another program with Adam Page, put Adam Page over, people will soften up to that. What does that do for Adam Page? I guess he gets another big good match on his books and whatever else or what have you, whatever else. But it's like, if I don't like that guy, I can still get to wherever I want to without him. Fuck him.
Yep. And
that's the thing that and CM Punk knows that. So yeah, like, I think that a lot of this shit is just like, hey, I know he's looking around, especially like, once CM Punk came in, like the use for Cody kind of, went away, right? As far as being like kind of like the MC of the show unofficially, as far as being like set the agenda of what's going on when they're on that week. Well, look at Cody. Look how great Cody's done in WWE. He main evented WrestleMania.
The real one.
Think about that. Cody main evented WrestleMania. Who does better TV between Punk and Cody?
I gotta say, in AEW, I don't think it's particularly close.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant, right? And it's like, okay.
I find myself kind of like looking at the WWE Cody. I'm like, man, what could have been,
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I think obviously he's been really reined in, from his ideas, whatever else. And that's the reason. And that's the reason why it's like, for me, it's like, when CM Punk was working underneath the thumb of that fucking guy, it was still great. When he's on his own, or given more creative control, it's still great. With Cody, he needs guidance. He needs people to say, "Hey, don't do that." But yeah, like, I'm just thinking of it like, their love for nostalgia, all that shit, and it's like, you look around, he's like, who are the guys left? Who are the guys left? There's nobody left.
I'm like, yo, like, if he's not gonna work with the Elite, like, or like the Blackpool Combat Club, it gets real. Like, after you get through Jericho, you're wrestling Ricky Starks, you're wrestling, like, who else? Powerhouse Hobbs, like, it dries up. Like, Jay White,
like, honestly,
like maybe a Jay White, maybe a Swerve, maybe a Adam Cole or something like that.
Maybe they're able to do another, maybe they're able to do another, MJF thing. Because that's another part. Was like, that's another one that he owes a job to.
Right.
He owes a job to MJF.
But also, like, think about those other three guys I mentioned, which would be higher quality than your Starks or Hobbs, like White, Swerve, Cole. All those guys. All those guys, very friendly with those guys. Yeah. Also, they are in as an attraction, right? If CM Punk's like, all right, his whole thing is like, I want to headline, I want to do these programs that are going to be lucrative and stuff like that. You look at your Swerve, White, and Cole. If you're CM Punk, maybe you're looking across and like, man, maybe I can fight Roman Reigns. And it's just like, and no offense to those three guys or anything like that, but it's like
maybe I can wrestle the biggest star in the industry, hit the biggest show in the industry.
Like, yeah, and then like it could be a lot, like, as far as like thinking about what Punk actually has on the table for him in AEW, and it might not necessarily like be worth all that. Like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at right now, but he also showed up in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings the whole workers' rights thing full circle, because
he showed up everywhere. Yeah.
Because like, when Hangman said the workers' rights promo, it was a few days after CM Punk jumped on Twitter talking about, in response to like the Sasha and Naomi walkout thing. Mm-hmm. Like, it was like a direct, like, kind of thing. Like, they were like, hey man, you talk about, workers' rights and you're doing all this campaign, this stumping, but that ain't really who you is. Well, CM Punk shows up to Impact Wrestling. A picture of him with Jordan Grace comes out. I don't see him pictured with anyone else or anything like that, but presumably he was there to hang out and watch the show. And they were also in Chicago. And I didn't know if he was going to check in with Big Bro Bobby Fish or not. I don't believe Fish works at Impact anymore. I've since learned, but maybe he was going to see Trinity's, matches or whatever.
That's what I presume, considering that, like,
I'm like, man, why? Like, did he even know her? Like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, I don't know, but that's what I presume. Given that, like, remember, when he said that shit was at the beginning of last year, when that happened with Naomi and Sasha, and then like he was at battle in the Valley. That was Mercedes IWGP Women's Title win. So to me, it was like, okay, like that's what I was, that's what I presumed, or that's what I assumed was like as a part of that. But I don't know their relationships, because like I don't know, like find out. It's really weird. Like CM Punk and I guess late career Aaron Rodgers. Like it's like
they look alike too.
It's like this thing of like this person, for so long seemed like they were on the way, and then you find out like, not really. And like, so you don't know like what the relationships were that you assume were already intact, and like what, and and that kind of thing, and what kind of territory they or kind of gang they run with. So yeah, it's strange right now. Strange, but like at least CM Punk is immunized. So, vaccinated, not immunized. I'm sorry.
Yeah, everybody's immunized. Even Aaron Rodgers is immunized.
The man went up there and fucking lied to the media, like bold-faced lied to the media, and thought he was gonna slide. Let me tell you something: the media does not enjoy being lied to. Because then they start adding like, you fucking personally insulted their integrity. You lied to me. How dare you? And get off of it. But yeah,
so I don't know why he's pulling up to these places and all that, but he's definitely has a plan. It is not an accident. It is. There's a lot of optics, trying to be appealed to, a lot of shit going on.
And he knows that once these things pop up, people are going to start talking about it and all that kind of stuff. Like, this is calculated. Like, I'm sorry that LeBron James and Taylor Swift hate being called calculated. They're fucking calculating. They're so very self-aware of anything they do. It can cause attention being started up, and so is CM Punk. And
why can't he go see his friends? Oh, all right. You believe that? I got this here bridge to sell you.
Yeah. Like, come on, man. Like, no one said he can't see his friends. But, like, everybody in pro wrestling, like, they'll pull up and you never hear about it.
He could have held a barbecue at the crib.
Right.
And told people to come through.
Like, come on, man.
AEW this week. Much improved from last week. Not like classic show or anything.
So
like
I can
that.
watch this week. I can watch this week and not be like.
I would recommend it. Yeah, okay. I would. The last one I was like, hey, man, you ain't missing none, Holmes. Like, yeah. So we opened this week with Orange Cassidy versus Bandito. This was sensational. Orange Cassidy defends the championship for the 20th time.
God damn.
And it's like every week you think this is the week for him, but he slips out somehow. And crowd was going out for Bandito. Bandito always gives himself over. No matter where you drop him in the world, I'd imagine he figures it out. I really like this match a lot. Either 4 or 4.25 for me on this. And I think Orange Cassidy's been so strong on TV week to week. It was good to see Bandito back. Like the second that man's visa shit got cleared up, all right, we adding him back. Wouldn't have been the worst idea, I think, to switch the belt to him. But they didn't end up going that way. Love the match though.
Okay.
Besides that,
do you have any
submissions? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna ask you, like, do you have any not necessarily problems, but do you have any, like, let's say issues, right? Like with the part where it's like this person is the international champion. How many times has he defended, like, outside the U.S.?
I don't know if he's had a Canadian defense. I'm not sure.
Like, obviously, a belt's a belt, whatever else. Like, but I would like this. Obviously, I'm assuming it'll be, an All In that match or that belt will be defended there. But it's like, I kind of want to see the international part, like, showcase where, like, it's put at different places. And I know he's where did he wrestle? He wrestled somewhere that was at AEW recently.
I think he wrestled on New Japan Strong.
New Japan Strong, that's what it was. Like, I kind of want to see, like, I kind of like the idea of, like, when we thought, like, Takeshi was going to be champion or Pac was going to be champion, the idea that, like, he might take the shit to Rev Pro or to Dragon Gate or whatever else, or Takeshi takes the shit to DDT, or, around any of these indies in America that he's been doing. Like, it's just something that I'm just thinking out loud, I guess, but, like, I guess more for the next champ because, like, Orange has been great with it, so it's not really nothing to really complain about. But it's just kind of think, like, I wonder what, like, how, the next champion makes their reign, like, because it's been such a great reign, like, how they kind of, like, differentiate themselves from what Orange has been able to do. Right. Because, like, he might be the best TV wrestler this year.
Like, he's been just solid as a rock. Like, rock I don't think
hard.
Moving on. Bandito hands over the belt. Orange Cassidy puts the glasses on him with the mask and all that shit after.
Wow.
Renee was backstage with Cole, said tonight he's going to call out Chris Jericho, and if he doesn't come out, he's going to find him. Then Orange Cassidy and Bandito come into the shot. They asked Renee, what was everything about? What was he talking about? And, are they ready to interview him? And she was like, no. And he was like, oh. And then he walked off. After that, Renee was backstage again with Darby and Jack Perry. And what they performed was like essentially open heart surgery on their storyline from last week and how they made each other like look terrible with just the burying each other and shit like that. So they kind of squashed their beef, and they talked about MJF and Sammy, and we had the Sammy and Darby match coming tonight, and then we had Jungle Boy saying Darby is going to have his back and stuff like that. And, he smirked and he said, I'm glad you're wrestling Sammy tonight because if you were facing me, I still win. So Darby, still, gave it to him a little bit, but a much better showing for these gentlemen this week than last week.
That's good. Because you were making it sound like, hey, man, they need to call this shit off.
Up next. The pack is going up. Double J, Jeff Jarrett takes on Dax Harwood. This was not good. And not for the reason you think. Jeff Jarrett was great in this match. Working at a high pace. Ended up beating Dax Harwood with the stroke after a distraction. But Dax was not good in this match. I don't know what was up with him. I don't know if he's like rusty or like he's working injured, but there was clearly something going on with like his lateral mobility. There was a spot early in the match where they got tripped up like on a drop down, where they were kind of just in the wrong position, and Dax looked like he was really struggling to move around the ring. And I'm like, this is not the same man that was at the Dome in the way he was moving around. I'm wondering if there's some type of injury we don't know about, or he signed that contract and then laid it down. I don't know what's going on here, but he was not in top form. Some people were theorizing too much tequila. I'm not going there, but Jeff Jarrett outworking the number 6 of most outstanding Wrestling Observer Newsletter Award placer. I did not have that on the calendar in 2023, James.
Yeah, I wouldn't have that on the calendar either. Yeah, that's... So, what do you think is the fallout of the match, of the result?
Well, they are going to be setting up a tag program. They did do Cash Wheeler and Jay Lethal on Rampage. I didn't see that, but I heard that also was not a great match. And there was like kind of a distraction finish there. And I was like, what's going on here? So I believe both FTR members lost. So they're going to be setting up some tag deal with them. But I think it was less a bad performance from Dax than, hey, maybe there's an injury going on right here.
Okay.
So, lots of punches and trading the sharpshooter and figure four and some near falls, different stuff like that. So some people liked it, but I thought this had more potential personally.
Okay.
Then Tony Khan was backstage and he announced the Owen Hart Cup opening ceremonies are going to be taking place at Double or Nothing. The tournament is going to take place in Canada, also at Forbidden Door, with the finals taking place in Hart's hometown of Calgary on July 15th. I think I kind of like the setup here a little bit more this year than last year, where it was just like, all right, there's a bunch of matches, and then it's going to conclude at the pay-per-view.
Why do I feel like it's later this year than last year?
It is.
Okay.
I feel like it was already starting last year, like in April, like the qualifying matches and stuff like that. But they're going to do the opening ceremonies at Double or Nothing. So hopefully, they line them up how they do at Stardom, and then they do their taunt when they get introduced or something like that. I remember that one time Shuri, got introduced, shit, like that. So hopefully they do something cool, like, and really break out the pageantry for this. But always good to see the Owen Hart Cup coming back. Played, of course, the footage of him like in New Japan and stuff like that. And one can hope that we get a super tournament out of it. So finals are going to be July 15th.
Okay.
Wardlow then appeared and squashed a guy. Back doing squashes with Wardlow, apparently.
Do you think that's like a tip-off?
Of what?
They announce the Owen, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you see Wardlow squashing somebody? You think it's like a tip-off?
I don't think so, but,
okay.
Never know. Could be. He's with Arn. Arn, said, speaking of draft shit, so Arn basically told the opponent to take an ice bath and drink a 12-pack. Of course, that's the advice from Arn Anderson. He said, the NFL draft was happening tomorrow. That's where draft picks become dynasties. And that's what Wardlow is for AEW, a future dynasty. He basically said, he's going to have to fight dirty occasionally. He's going to poke a guy in the eye, whatever. But then Christian Cage and Luchasaurus came out, acted like they were going to get in the ring, but they backed down pretty much. And Wardlow and Luchasaurus stare each other down. After that, we got Sammy Guevara backstage with Renee. She got interrupted by MJF. Basically, Guevara and MJF, they kiss each other's foreheads. They were laughing like heels, and they don't care about what people think about them joining forces. Sammy said he had a fat paycheck and presented MJF with a matching leather vest. Said he got a gift for him, so he gave him like a customized like MJF vest, kind of like his deal. And then MJF was like, "Well, buddy, I actually got you something too." And he gave.
So
Sammy
basically, they're doing Jericho and Guevara, or is it Jericho and MJF with Guevara? That's basically what they're doing, right?
It feels like it, but like it was fucking. This was fucking hilarious. And then he gave Sammy the scarf, and they hugged again. They said they were the best friends. It was pretty funny. It's like heel bullshittery with these two, as King of the North says in the comments. I thought this was pretty funny.
Okay.
After that, we got RJ City back there. And RJ City was going to tell us about how Kenny Omega was teaming up with Konosuke Takeshita. And I guess, he uttered the wrong words because all of a sudden the Blackpool Combat Club comes on the screen like a whirlwind and whoops his ass.
Because like I've seen some of the RJ stuff and I'm just like the parody thing of it. Like, bro, I don't.
The AEW show is fucking hilarious. Like, absolutely fucking hilarious.
So, I always thought it was Hey Ew.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Hey Ew, exactly.
But yeah, man, like, his interview style is like some, parody of a late night sketch thing.
This and like Eric Andre asking ridiculous questions.
Right, and it's just like, between, it was also the shit with Zach Galifianakis, Between Two Ferns, whatever it was called, like, is one of those. I was like, hey man, like, you don't do this as well as those two dudes. I'm okay. So, like, the part where I didn't know this happened, but he said BCC came and whooped his ass. I would like to see that. I'm definitely firing up Dynamite once we're done with the show.
They fucked him up.
Fucking dork.
Paz was cheering this. He was happy that RJ was getting whooped. And after that, we got Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. They went fucking nuts in this match before that, the stupid finish they did. They did like a like MJF came on commentary, he's eating pickles. And before that, like, Allen was trying to stop the high flying. There was a lot of aerial stuff after from Guevara. There was a huge moonsault off the top rope to the floor, like springboard style. Darby got busted open over his eyebrow on that. There was a lot of like super spots in this match. I would say go out of your way to watch this. And then it peaked with Guevara doing a 630 senton off the top rope to the floor while Darby was on a table. So it was like Revolution 2020 Redux here. And it was like, but it looked crazier. Like, it was nuts. Tay Mello came back, came out to kind of distract Darby. But after that, like the whole thing, she ended up getting thrown out, I believe. After that, like Sammy went for like some type of splash, and he caught a drop kick for his troubles. Tay like grabbed the ref like she was doing the hijinks, and MJF got tossed. Darby Allin or MJF came out and from the commentary, he threw the skateboard in. Sammy flopped trying to do some Eddie Guerrero shit. He saw Paul Turner saw him with the weapon and disqualified him. Darby, he DQ'd Darby, and they ran away like they stole something essentially.
Wow.
And and then Tony Schiavone was like, they was out there laughing. They were like, the main event is gonna be MJF versus Sammy Guevara. Tony Schiavone stands up and is like, "Listen, you prick!" It's fucking hilarious. He's like, "Listen here, you prick!" Like, he's like, "I'm talking to Tony Khan in the headset." And Jack Perry was gonna come out and save them and all that shit. He said Tony Khan's made it official that Sammy Guevara did win tonight, so he is going to Double or Nothing. However, next week it's going to be a tag match between MJF and Guevara, and then Jack Perry and Darby Allin. If Perry and Allin win, they're in. If not, it remains a singles match. But that "listen up, you prick" was great. A slight save this week from the Pillar storyline as compared to last week. They then concluded with, they won a commercial, came back. MJF and Sammy are walking out of the building and they're like pissed. And MJF was talking about injustice and, in 2024, I'm going to remember this shit and all this other shit like that. Then MJF was about to get in a car, right? And the car is like pulling up. It's like an SUV, black joint. They have the door wide open, right? They pan the camera. MJF's about to get in. And he's like, "Whoa, baby. Well, whoa, I can't let you in the car with me, Sammy." Like, "Nah, man, the car is full." But then, like, the camera, like, pans over again. It shows the car empty or whatever. So this is just fucking hilarious. Like, and then Sammy's, like, standing there like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, but, like, Sammy never sees, like, there's no one in the car. And then MJF jumps in the car and pulls off and leaves that man holding the bag out there. It was fucking hilarious. This led to...
Hey, man, Jericho got to be involved in this shit. Ain't no way.
Bro, this was fucking hilarious. This kind of led to something on Rampage, actually, which was really good. Tay Mello ended up coming up to Sammy. They were going to do an interview with Sammy. She jumps in and cuts him off and was like, "I know you don't really think MJF is your friend, right?" Like, she basically gives him like, "Hey, man, get your fucking head in the game. Like you say you want to be a world champion. You said what about you when you were younger? You was talking about you worked at Subway and shit. Like, this is shameful, damn near. Like, it was awesome. Like her promo. So and it was like, and she was almost like, "I know you don't like MJF. You're not friends with him, and he does not care about you. Stop this," essentially. And so that's all gonna blow up. After that, we got Adam Cole addressing Chris Jericho, and Cole demanded Jericho come out. He didn't do the boom. He was pissed. He was an angry man on the way to the ring. And he said what he did to Britt last week was unforgivable. Cole was about to go find him, but Jericho jumped up on the screen, and of course he said he doesn't want to be anywhere near a coward like Cole. One that would let his woman like get beat up right in front of him and not do anything. Of course, Jericho. So he's sending his guys to go get him. Garcia, Menard, and Parker and Hager came out. They was whooping on Cole's ass. And then Orange Cassidy and Bandito ran out to help because they crossed paths earlier in the night. And they were still outnumbered. They still got their ass whooped to them. And then Killswitch engages End of Heartache hit, which is apparently Roderick Strong's theme song. Roderick Strong's Tron hits, everybody pops pretty big. Roddy runs out, cleaned house, bunch of backbreakers, chops, big drop, 1 foot drop kicks and stuff like that. Everybody was really happy to see this guy. This was a great moment. And Strong and Cole hugged each other. And they're reunited here, and Cole kind of needed some backup with him here Kyle's not ready. I thought Jericho was awesome, as Frankie said. The gaslighting of Jericho, it was like classic Jericho. And yeah, Roddy was a house fire, and Roger Strong freed. This guy's an excellent wrestler. If you never watched Roger Strong, this is like the backbones of your companies can be built on guys like going on TV and eating and having great matches, like with young guys, with old guys, with any type of wrestler. Guys like Roger Strong, I think, define the best in wrestling.
Yeah. All heart, all hustle, amazing pacing, great match storytelling, like getting into working over people's backs by doing all types of stuff people's backs. He's unique in that way, and like brings oomph with it. Like, he's a little dude, but he feels like he has, like, with his striking, it snaps off, and he's just great. He's a great wrestler, and if Kyle can just get his neck right, if we get O'Reilly and Strong, like, that was my favorite NXT tag team. That was my favorite NXT tag team of the whole run of, the first run of NXT or whatever else. So, like, yeah, I would love for them to. I'm just interested to see what he does and where he fits in as far as his Jericho thing for now. But like, if we ever get to a part where, like, it's basically like the top 3 from Undisputed or in AEW and they're all up and running and everything, that'd be super cool. And I would love for O'Reilly and Strong to be a tag team again or whatever else. Like, I would love to see another, them FTR match. They had one in 2020 that was awesome, but it was in the fucking warehouse or the LA Fitness Esport, whatever you want to call it. So, in front of a big crowd, it would be even better. So, yeah. And then obviously the Young Bucks and Lucha Bros and all that shit. Like, they would just be a perfect fit.
Another episode of QTV. QT was in there trying to explain to everybody what happened last week. Haas broke in, lifted QT off his feet, put him on the wall, told him to fix it. And he was like, all right, I got you. My word's my bond, and we're going to go to plan B, whatever the fuck that is. Yes, Bobby Fish is unneeded. Up next, we got Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie to defend the TBS title. Jade retained, and this match wasn't bad. Like, I thought it was going to be like not like great or anything like that. This was I would say a step forward for Jade. I thought the finish kind of made them like not look like the smartest wrestlers in the world, because the whole stipulation was Taya could not do her finish. So she's sitting there, has her up, puts her down, and then has this like conflicted look on her face. Then she gets rolled up in a victory roll fashion. But Jade hit a Canadian destroyer in this match, James. I didn't know she wanted to do that or anything like that, but why not? We need something. But I thought Taya looked kind of weak in the end. But as far as like the guts of the match, this was way better than I think it had anybody thought it would be. So
okay.
This was a solid outing, I would say. Besides that, we had Baker and Hayter backstage. Jamie has a sling on because she was check this out. So I was listening to Observer Radio. Dave explained it, that the reason that Jamie didn't come out last week, because we saw her get whooped on essentially in the earlier part of the show, but the commentators never kind of explained and saying like, hey, Jamie Hayter is getting medical attention or something like that because of getting
similar
thrown
to like Cody is like, on the other side of the building or whatever else, so right. Can't make it out. Okay. Right.
Like, she's getting medical attention. Like, that's why she didn't come out. Like, they didn't explain it on the show, but she showed up this week wearing a sling, and Baker was there. She had the eye or whatever. And, they basically ran down the Outcast, and, Hayter talked about it. She wanted, or Tony was, had her shoulders. She said, the only way this is going to be over if you send us to the morgue, essentially. So they were, talking that shit. Then we got Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita versus the Butcher and the Blade. This is a pretty good match right here. I like Butcher and the Blade. Omega and Takeshita displaying the the aptitude for teaming with each other, managed by Uncle Don, the Golden Brothers, as they're saying. So this was a cool match. Like, Konosuke Takeshita ended up getting the pinfall. on the Blade, I believe. And it was cool to see him Butcher, excuse me. And it was cool to see, like, you know, Butcher doesn't like get all these chances all the time, so this is cool for him. But after the match, another great post-match angle from the BCC and the Elite. I know you're shocked. So Bryan Danielson comes on stage, saying, you know, a professional would have got the pin. Talking about Kenny, he's like, you let Takeshita, you know, and you look exhausted. But Takeshita, you know, got the pin. He's a professional. You know, if Takeshita trained with the BCC, he'd be a star, but he chose to side with the Elite. The only guys who they've trained are like Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. Said the BCC then, he basically said, Kenny, you know, you living off a reputation from Japan, and I don't see you pushing yourself to be the best, stuff like that. So BCC then basically jumped Omega and Takeshita from behind. They said, we're going to finish the job on you from last week. Essentially, the Bucks then ran out from the back. They gave a bunch of super kicks out to the whole BCC. Then Danielson was still on the floor. He was telling Takeshita get in the ring because Takeshia's kind of like in the middle of this whole thing. And, you know, get in there and save Moxley. You know, you like us, remember? And then Takeshita was kind of like afflicted, like, man, nah, I don't really fuck with y'all. Like, what is this? And then all the BCC surrounds him. And then Danielson's like, yeah, man, you know, don't you want to be with the BCC? Essentially, don't you want to join the Knicks? Like some shit like that. And essentially, he kind of took too long. He hesitated, or whatever. So Wheeler Yuta gives Takeshita a low blow, and Danielson said, "Well, you made your choice." And Moxley charged him, used a screwdriver on Takeshita.
She got him with a screwdriver.
Yep, bust him open with the shit. And then like they Elite comes in and saves him, runs him off, but Kenny like ends the show with Takeshita in his arms, all bleeding, and ends up cutting a post-show promo, basically as angry as Kenny has ever been, I'd probably say. Basically saying, you know, like, what you think this is? Like you know, you all you think we know how to do is wrestle? Like you think we don't know how to fight? Like, I'll fight you. I'll fight every single one of you. Like, almost like that Riley Cooper energy, but not with like
God.
I'll fight every one of you here. Like, yeah, not like, you know, minus the, you know, the racism in there, but it was like that. And he's like, what do you want to be in a cage or something? Like, you know, let's do it or whatever. Moxley, let's do it. And then a couple days later, they send out a response from Danielson and Moxley, both in a hallway, basically accepting the challenge. And on May 10th, we're getting Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in a Steel's Cage match, brother, that is going head to head with Game 5 of Warriors Lakers.
Oh God!
Same night.
So they knew they needed something strong, basically.
Probably.
Yeah. And also, like, that has to go on last. It's a cage match, right?
Yeah, it has to go on last, I'd say.
Like, I don't think they've ever done a cage match in AEW where it wasn't the main event, right?
Yeah.
They knew they needed something. That's all that comes down to.
Well, and it's in the same arena they did Blood and Guts last year, so it's in Detroit, Little Caesars. So that's a huge fucking building. So yes, like they're getting a real main event. So, I thought this was great. This is another home run angle for these guys. Like I think they have the hottest thing going. I did see the Being the Elite stuff this week. I saw like 5 clips. It was awesome. I think BT's like for the last month has actually found the groove again. For a while, it was just like too much Ryan Nemeth and shit like that. But like the actual bits are coming back. Like I was into it. I was way more into the show this week than the week before, and continue to build from here. And also, the ropes were black. They got rid of the red, white, and blue ropes, so that was nice. Yeah,
that was like they randomly started doing it like 2 months ago, something like that. And yeah, I had no idea why, but whatever.
Like they were just there one day, and
yeah, they just trying some shit, I guess.
Yeah. So besides that, I didn't have much for you because I did not watch Rampage.
I know you didn't ask me for a recap.
What happened on Rampage, James?
Man, I haven't watched Rampage since like the summer.
Don't blame you.
Yeah. Like that shit, that Trustbuster shit broke me. I was like, bro, I can't. What are we doing here? What the fuck is this? And I remember like, you were like, you know, who was it? Which one of them? It wasn't Daivari, it was the other one. The one that was doing like the...
Slim J?
Yeah, the one that was doing a tornado, the slowest tornado in the world.
Slim J was raw.
Yeah, you're like, Slim J kept the rating. I was like, all right, bitch.
Slim J kept the rating, he did.
I'm like, look, man,
maybe Tony Khan should be bringing the Trustbusters back.
Okay. All right.
Respect Slim J, yes. God damn it. Oh, anything on Twitter tonight that is funny.
Well,
I forgot one other thing. I forgot one other thing, James.
Yeah.
Tessa Blanchard is returning to pro wrestling, James.
Where?
She is wrestling for a promotion called XPW, where all the canceled wrestlers gather. They are the people that run like these MAGA storylines. It is just a complete outlaw promotion. That is just like Trevor Dame had a great tweet. I'm going to find it. Shout out to Trevor Dame. He said, "Ever the trendsetter, Tessa Blanchard has decided to skip a few steps on the disgraced wrestler career cope ladder, bypassing doing all right podcast for 7 weeks and release a sex tape and jumping straight to work for XPW." We're talking about, you know, Marty Scurll, or Dr. Lariat is like, XPW is about to book Marty Scurll, Chris Dickinson, Davey Richards, Michael Elgin. Yes, they brought, they're the promotion that brought in Drake Wirtz to do that shit. So like, bro, they have her signed for a couple of days.
Is Austin Aries there?
I'm going to guess he's probably made an appearance there before. They said, breaking, Tessa Blanchard has been signed to a multi-show deal at Broken Beat and Scarred, May 27th in Newark, New York. They are dragging her, and this comes on the heels of her taking a picture with La Rosa Negra.
Yep. We were talking about that shit not on here but off air, like what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, I was like, don't be surprised she ends up signed somewhere off of that, but I guess even the companies weren't fooled.
Yeah. I who watches that shit?
I'm shocked WWE's not bringing her in. She seems like she'll fit in great.
I remember there was something about her having an attitude problem there. People felt that way at Mae Classic. So that's probably what did her in there.
Mm. Yeah, man, bro. Johnny Gargano apparently was not drafted on air. Like, he was drafted after the show. Like, they were like, yeah, like, you know how they draft dudes in like the 5th round, like, and they just like, they're doing all the coverage.
Like how like Nikola Jokic got drafted during a commercial break in the 2nd round.
Yes, that's what happened to Johnny Gargano, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, he wanted to go back. I told you at the time that was a dumb idea.
He was drafted alongside the likes of Dana Brooke, Nikki Cross, and Tamina.
Yeah.
Got to use the we lost a family member voice with Johnny Gargano.
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm surprised. He's 5'7". It's WWE. I was actually it's a story I should say for after the show, but yeah, man, like, it's funny, like, how deep we're in the bubble, like the stories we covered this week, right? Between like CM Punk showing up at Impact and at WWE and the IWGP stuff with his 2 women's belts. And you know, one of the trainers at the gym I go to, he's a super casual wrestling fan. So, like, about once a week, he'll ask me, like, what do you think will happen on SmackDown or whatever else? And I'm just like,
I don't know.
I've only heard about it. I didn't watch SmackDown, man. But he was talking, but it was a draft, so like, you kind of know the stuff. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, the draft is stupid. He's like, and we were like just going over like same thing we talked about on here. It's like it serves no purpose. Like Vince is a person that like wants to do this, but he doesn't watch sports, so he has no concept of why people care about this stuff, and like obviously like how to disperse the talent, and like the idea that a Rhea Ripley gets drafted after fucking Indy Hartwell and stuff like that, and so like it was crazy to me. Like I don't know how we got onto it, but because we were talking about Puerto Rico, and then I had to explain to him about like how like WWE has bought shows, right? Like Puerto Rico, Australia, and I brought up Saudi Arabia. And then I had to explain to him there's like, yeah, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens don't go to Saudi Arabia. And I had to explain to him like, they just let women start driving there a few years ago. And like, they killed an American journalist over there with a fucking bone saw. But like at the behest of the fucking ruler over there. And like, he was like, oh wow, really? I didn't know any of this stuff. And I'm just like,
they keep that shit well hidden.
I'm like, I don't know about it. Well, him is just like, if you're just watching the show and you don't go on Twitter and you don't there's no like New York Times ain't covering this shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why would he know? Right? And it's like this like we're inside the super small wrestling bubble, and I'm just like, yeah. And I was like, and also I think I almost gave like because I don't really, I'm not really Rich, this is not really like forthcoming with information to people that I'm kind of just acquaintances with. So like I explained to him, like, I'm not just like a wrestling dork. I'm also like a basketball dork and a football dork. And I explained to him like, yeah, it's kind of, there's all this kind of stuff like that with this kind of, trying to make money in different countries and like the geopolitical landscape and stuff. And I explained to him like the NBA stuff with China a few years ago. And he was like, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I mean, that was a much bigger story than the WWE thing, because of the notoriety of the players. And when LeBron was over there at the time when that shit happened with Maury tweeting or liking that post. But it's the same thing. It's like they chasing money, and not all money is good money. And then you get in these situations where like you're in conflict with whatever you claim your ideals are, and people are gonna be like, is that money worth it? And we're going to see in the long run for how these companies, deal with this kind of stuff. But yeah, man, it was just like the bubble was like so small. Or people that know this kind of stuff is so small. Like I had mentioned like Vince being a sex pest in like passing. I didn't even get into like the whole thing. I didn't even get into it. But yeah, just it's like seeing a casual wrestling fan and like trying to figure out what they do know is interesting. We have that with like my cousin Alex from time to time, or even Kirby. But like another person added to it, it's so interesting to see like what they know and what they don't know and whatever else. It really is.
Yeah. I guess we can wrap this up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had anything for Stardom this week.
Nah, not for Stardom. I mean, they have a pay-per-view on Thursday. Pay-per-view on Thursday. Main event is Mina Shirakawa defending for the first time against Natsupoi. After Mina won, she called out Natsupoi and made allusions to saying that not made allusions, basically like Mina feels like she left Cosmic Angels because like Tam chose Natsupoi, not her. It's very, to me, it's very reminiscent of like the Hoshiki Mayu or Tam stuff back in 2019, except no one left. But like, once that happened, once the Club Venus thing happened, it was like, that makes sense. Whether it was win or lose, it makes sense. And like, that was how like Mina leaves like the Natsupoi thing of like, I loved this woman. I thought I was her first follower, and like, you had a cage, and like the person you went to tag titles with, the motherfucker you had a cage match with months ago. It makes sense. Underneath the card is on the undercard is the tag title defense. It's New Era's Mirai and Ami versus FWC, Hazuki and Kaguma. So that should be really good. They've had 2 matches before for the tag belts. First one was a time limit draw. Wasn't that good. The second one was much better. And, you know, Ami's even better it's been even better since then. So I expect them to have a really good one. Obviously, it's in Fukuoka, so that's, you know, hometown presence will be there for FWC. And then the third from the top is Azumi in a high-speed title match versus Mei Sarah. So they get to have another one of those, so that'll be super fun. Other supporting matches are Utami and Kamatani versus Micah and Julia. So that should be a great tag match, but you never know, because, like, in my opinion, quiet as kept, like, Utami and Kamatani don't have tag matches as good as, like, their individual matches, which is weird. But, you know, it's Julia. They'll give her plenty of time to go out there and, you know, try to get whatever she can get out of a tag match. So, yeah, that's like the big stuff on that card. But it's going to be a bunch of shows this week because it's Golden Week. So, I think there's like 7 shows in 9 days, something like that.
Woo!
Yeah. But like they started off in thinking, and I forgot to mention this last week, but thinking about it, now we're doing a Stardom segment, right? But thinking about it, like they dropped like the Golden Week shows, and you saw what were like the cards, and like I kept seeing like they're doing a lot of like Mina versus like Club Venus versus Cosmic Angels. And I thought to myself, well, it looks like Tam's going to be, you know, main eventing like half of these shows this week. And looking back at it, it was like, that was the tale that she was going to win. But didn't really think about it. Just like, neither here nor there. Because it's like, you look at the matches and you're like, what is Julia doing versus what's Tam doing on these Golden Week shows? And like, the Tam stuff far more intriguing. So, like, it looks like we're headed towards a, you know, trio type of collision between like Restart / Cosmic Angels and Club Venus. So that should be fun.
As long as Mina Shirakawa beats that war criminal Natsupoi to sleep, I'll be okay.
War criminal. I don't remember torture, but okay. Yeah, but that's it of the show. We'll review the pay-per-view next week. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. If you are watching from the stream, you see the links on the screen to the PayPal, to the Cash App. You can donate there. If you're listening from on the podcast, you can go to the show notes. You see the link to Red Circle. You can click on that and donate there. And listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Corman Watches Shit, 8-Bit Suplex, The Grave Consequences podcast. All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Meet the Press Slam, and Get in the Ring. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
WWE racist as hell.